Yarrr! Ahoy there, me mateys! Welcome aboard to the Timeless Gamer Show, where our games and our bodies may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain. Be timeless. This ship is now sailing across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just be searching for the Timeless Gamer Show. Traces of the program can be seen at our YouTube hideout, and we can also be heard in other audio streaming platforms out there. Previously, in the Timeless Gamer Show, we celebrated the career of Nintendo's first mate, the Crimson Plumber himself, that be Mario. For this voyage, ladies and gentlemen, we have assembled the Brethren Court, all pirate lords from all across the globe, to share our tall tales searching for illegitimate copies of video games, music, movies, and computer software. Introducing the pirate lord from Cebu, Sir Master JDM.
Yes, hand deck Juan DeMarcos of Cebu City, and welcome back to Timeless Gamer Show. And tonight we'll be discussing piracy. What is it? What do you do? Where do you get your stuff? So let's see where they got their booty. And welcome everyone.
Indeed. Thank you for that, Master JDM. Introducing the pirate lord from Chicago, Master Jomar.
What's up? Joe Marot here. You can find me at any platform. So we're taking we're gonna be talking about piracy in the Philippines, particularly in the Philippines. So stay tuned.
Thank you for that, Master Jomar. And introducing the pirate lord from New Jersey, Master Banyagang native himself, Master Joel.
Yarrr! Help me, hearties. Welcome to our show for tonight. And I can't maintain the I can't maintain the pirate accent. Although the funniest thing, I'll have to say that Joe's pirate accent has a distinctly Australian twang to it. If you ask me, yeah. So yeah, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you are, however you are. Thank you very much for being here. We are going to be discussing piracy in the 90s and 2Ks, particularly in the Philippines. But if you guys are interested about the topic, wherever you are, type it into the chats what your experiences were about piracy back then, and we'll gladly read them all out to everybody. So back to you, Joe.
Thank you, Master Joel. And introducing the pirate lord of Pasig, Master Raymond.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Ayun, pirata rin yung mic.
Oo nga. Ayan.
Ayun, nawala.
Ayan. While
Mamaya
Raymond
na
is cuddling about with his with his hardware, we'll just move on, Joe.
Yeah, looks like the sirens got beholden of his voice.
Yes.
And introducing the pirate lords from the other side of the ocean, Master Trix and Master General Tuna from G3.
Yun.
Ahoy, mateys. Tonight, we shall be discussing our adventures towards the pirate seas of the Philippines. Our, from island to island, region to region.
Mm-mm. Nice.
Thank you for that.
Sinasabi ko
Master
lang,
Trix.
pare, pulis ako.
No. Okay, and that's the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here.
All right. Okay, so for this episode, guys, just a normal casual discussion. In particular, okay, just disclaimer: we are not condoning piracy here. Okay, say what you will, what we did before. However, on this episode, we're just we're just going to talk about the locations of where where we usually frequent to buy illegitimate copies of video games, movies, music, and computer software. Okay, we're not supporting the act. We're just discussing the locations of where we went. Okay, so for this episode, we are electing Sir Joel to be the captain of this voyage. So let's go with Sir Joel.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe. As Joe has stated, the idea is that we are going to be talking about kung ano yung mga pinaggagawa natin, mga kabulastugan nung mga unang panahon natin. Nung mga nandoon tayo sa mga panahon natin na naghahanap tayo ng mga bagay-bagay. Because let's face it, nung mga panahon natin, nung mga 90s and 2Ks, medyo mahirap, hindi pa masyadong laganap ang internet ng mga panahon na yon. So yung mga mabilis na mga pag-download, the really quick download speeds, the stuff that you can just grab off of the internet anytime you felt like it, hindi pa madaling kunin ng mga panahon na yun. So naging creative tayo. Naghanap tayo ng mga paraan para kunin yung mga bagay-bagay na hinahanap natin noong mga panahon na yun. Dahil let's also face it, noong mga panahon na yun, noong mga 90s and 2K, saka naglalabasan yung mga sobrang gagandang mga video games, sobrang gagandang mga movies, sobrang gagandang mga music. And Pinas has a long history of piracy. Pustahan tayo, marami sa atin may ancestor tayo na ang pangalan Limahong eh. So, ang tanda na lang natin na parte na ng dugo natin. And of course, availability. Noong mga panahon ko, particularly nung naghahanap ako ng software, ng mga original software, tiningnan ko yung mga presyo ng mga games dati. Yung mga presyo ng games dati, yung mga 1,000 to 1,500 pesos ang isang original na game dati. And nung mga panahon na 90s and 2000s, ang mahal na nun. Halos isang buong sweldo na rin yon. So, of course, tayo mga Pilipino, medyo hirap tayo dati. Naghahanap tayo ng mga paraan na maging masaya kahit na hindi tayo masyadong kahit na wala tayo masyadong maraming pera. So, ang our topic for tonight is where we went to para maghanap ng kasiyahan. Hindi hindi sa red light district pero yung mga yung kasiyahan natin dati na nasa computer, na nakikinig tayo sa music natin, sa mga movies. So, I'll begin. Ang sigurong isa sa mga kasi nag-college ako sa Lasal, sa De La Salle sa Taft Avenue. Natatanda ko isa sa mga paborito kong puntahan para maghanap ng unofficial software, hindi illegitimate unofficial software, which we do not condone nowadays, was katabi ng mall, University Mall sa tabi ng Lasal. As in, the moment na matapos ka ng classes mo, may break ka, pupunta ka sa tabi na mall. Ang tawag doon, University Mall. Isang maliit na mall yun na may katabi na McDonald's, if I remember correctly. And kapag naghahanap ka ng video game software, kagaya ng Battle Realms para sa PC, Age of Empires, yung mga ganon, pupunta ka doon para bumili ng isang CD na tigmo 100 pesos ang pagkakaalala ko. Tapos, nakalagay sa isang cardboard sleeve na nakabalot sa plastic. Iuwi mo na yan, isasalpak mo sa computer mo, tapos iraran mo, mag-i-enjoy ka na noon. Of course, kailangan siguraduhin mo na may kasama ng serial key yon. Dahil walang kwenta, yung CD na binili mo, kung wala yung serial key na kasama roon sa sa cardboard na naka-imprenta doon. Sorry na lang.
Serial crack.
Serial crack, gano'n. Matututo ka rin na kung paano mag-apply ng mga crack dati, gano'n. Ayun. Ngayon, yun yung pinakamabilis na pumasok sa utak ko dahil yun yung isa sa mga yun yung pinaka laganap na panahon talaga dati na naghahanap ka ng unofficial software. Pero I also want to find out how everybody did their for lack of a better word, sige na, fine, piracy, gano'n yan. Diretso yun na natin. Tanungin muna natin ang isa sa mga special guests natin for this evening. Let's ask Trix muna. Trix, tell me a little bit about how you did your search for booty back in the 90s and 2Ks.
Oh, back in the 90s, I was just a wee lad. So ang namin is around mga NES Famicom pa. So, hilariously enough, NES is not our first console. But a bootleg of an NES console. Not even an NES, a Famicom bootleg. Was called.
Is it Micro Genius?
No. It was called The Good Boy. Ironically enough.
The Good Boy, yes. I think in general those things were called Famic clones. But yes, The Good Boy. I remember that brand. Yes, go ahead, Trix. Tell us about it.
It played any kind of Famicom game. That's in the classic small cartridge kind. where I never got to, I never got to join the my brother and Lolo with their video game escapades since I was still
Mhm.
too young. But I remember one time they took me. I saw this amazing stand in Plaza Fair sa Makati.
Uy, Plaza
Uh,
Fair, oo.
oh, doon.
Plaza Fair.
Mhm.
Yun, ang dami talaga doon. Like, it's not just it wasn't just uh, NES. Meron na nga silang Genesis doon for
Oh,
some
nice.
reason. Yeah, and all kinds of paraphernalia. Uh,
Mhm.
from and even like the best part for me at least was like aside from the good boy, I had memories for
Mhm.
that, was the Game Boy. The Game Boy,
Oh.
as you know, had ano, were a bit on the expensive side, at least the cartridges.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you have come across the whole 500 in one kind of
Oh
cartridge.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Because those were the cheaper those were the cheaper cartridge. That's around 1,000, 500 to 1,000 per cartridge.
Mhm.
Kasi
Yes.
when you're just getting say Pokemon,
Mhm.
mahal agad yun. It's like 1,600 just for one game. So
Mhm.
we only had the Nintendo played us like a fiddle with the whole regional differences. Then like
Ah.
blue, red. Yeah. Thankfully, everyone in the neighborhood had the Game Boy, so you managed to earthquake each other in Pokemon Blue and Red. So that was
Mhm.
just it wasn't just in Plaza Fair. So the piracy thing was super blatant everywhere else. It's
Oh
not just
yeah.
in the Palenque, right?
Oh yeah.
It wasn't
Mhm.
just in Palenque. It was also in other malls. I was
Oh yeah.
surprised. So
Mhm.
after the whole NES thing, I skipped the SNES kasi they were playing on legit cartridges na. I skipped the SNES and then went to PlayStation. When I got my first PlayStation, my brother had it modified so para
Mhm.
hindi mahal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
oo. And then after that, ayan, we started playing. I don't know where he got his discs from. Ang dami. He had this small disc album. Paano?
Mhm.
Wala na wala na yung lalagyan. Wala na yung lalagyan.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
which is weird because I like I like the CD cases.
Mhm.
So another place aside from Plaza Fair is another mall, which is for some reason Walter Mart near Makati in Makati
Mhm.
has a blatant PS1 piracy stand right there. As in, every time I would be so excited we would go grocery shopping, right? Because every like after tapos na rin, magano na eh, doon na sa sa cashier na eh. I would
Mhm.
go to that stand and just browse the wala nang glass case, plastic
Oh.
na along
Mhm.
with along with the art na lang. So ayun,
Mhm.
and the best part, napakamura. Per
Oh
disc,
yes. Mhm.
50 pesos. 50 pesos per disc. So if you
Really?
get yeah, if you get like Final Fantasy 9, that's like 4 discs, 200 pesos lang.
Gotta admit, 50 pesos can't be beat. I mean, that translates to basically a dollar ngayon nowadays, you know. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's just face it. Yung times were tough back then. I think the exchange rate dati nung mga panahon ng 30s and 90s and 2Ks was about 30 30 something to a dollar. Ngayon it's about 50 na ngayon, something to a dollar. But
Back
still,
then,
30 something to a dollar was big.
yeah,
You were
I
saying,
think
Tricks.
my time I was like 40, right? 40 tapos a dollar.
Mhm.
And then after the PS1, we went to the PS2 na. So
Mhm.
since prices change, 100
Mhm.
pesos na per disc. Like
Oh
my
yes.
first my first PS2 disc was a Devil May Cry game.
Mm.
It was the only original PS2 game I ever owned, and
Mhm.
it set me back like 2,000 pesos. Like,
There's a reason why you get the Devil May Cry game for PS2. There's a reason. Explain it, Tricks.
fuck, I forgot the reason, but dang,
No, there's a reason because of the fact that the Devil May Cry original disc was needed for you to be able to boot up all the other pirated discs on PS2. If you
Really?
modified
That
your
was
PS2,
the.
yes,
Oh
that was the
shit!
reason. Yes.
I didn't know they needed Devil May Cry too for that.
Yes,
Devil May
they
Cry for
needed,
that.
yeah, you needed the Devil
Shit.
May Cry disc for it, for you to be able to boot the PS2 discs, not unoriginal. You needed some kind of bootloader on it, and
Boot
then
disk siya eh.
the boot disc. It's basically the
Yeah.
boot disc,
Oo.
and then you took it out,
Oh.
and then you put in the pirated PS2 discs. That was the early days of modifying your PS2. You needed the Devil May Cry disc, but
Ang
afterwards, nagkaroon
man,
na ng modification. Yes,
the,
Trix, go ahead.
the fucking launch day, the launch day discs were kind of volatile then.
Oh yeah. Mm.
The fun and the PS2 thing was
Mhm.
lumipat na ako dito sa Laguna.
Mhm.
Uh, my adventures naman in Laguna. The funny
Mhm.
thing with this is, aside from PS2 games na pirated, there
Mhm.
were other certain games naman, like the PC games.
Mhm.
You would expect stuff like Freedom Force, Battle
Oh
Realms,
yeah. Mhm.
Grom. Grom was like, fuck.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
And then at the very back of the habang nagbabrowse ka ng CDs,
Mm.
you would see unusual things like do you like Horny Bunnies 1, 2, 3?
So, okay.
It's like,
Home
what
Cobra
the
Mission,
fuck?
yung mga ganun.
Yeah. Nanlaki mata ko dun eh. It's like I was around high school.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I just saw this at G4 TV. It's here.
Yes. So,
I was contemplating on buying that and
mm.
stealth installing it, but since it's the family computer, I again like my better judgment won out. So no, no. I would get my ass kicked so hard. Like,
Mhm. It's a good that's a good reference. Ng mga panahon na yun, yung I think early 2000s, G4 TV was isa rin sa mga sources nating ng information as to what games were coming down the pipe. And it recently had a revival, G4, but it didn't last very long kasi
oh,
nag-iba na yung panahon ngayon eh. Pero the original G4 TV had lots of great information, especially games coming down the pipe like no, not cheaters. Cheaters is a different show. Sorry. I forgot with Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb. I forgot the title of that show, but they were presenting some really good information back then. Yeah, so that was a good reference, Tricks. Excellent
Hindi
reference.
ko alam kung ba't mo nasabi yung cheaters, Tito
Cheaters,
Joel.
wala, pumasok sa utak ko bigla. Jomar, wala eh. Cheaters at saka cops dati yung palagi inuulit-ulit na nun. Oh my goodness, yeah. Ito, since yeah, go ahead, Tricks.
one last piracy
Go ahead.
thing I would like to mention is
Mhm.
the whole hulog piso thing sa the arcade
Yes,
the
yes.
one with
Mm.
like those like I don't know how people got a hold of those because yung mga tao na nakakuha na ganun, they're just regular people. Sa kaya nila nakukuha yun. That's how I encountered like the Capcom's 3-in-1 arcade game, Three Wonders with Blue. I don't know how. Tataka ka eh. Saan mo napulot to? Alam ko mahal to eh. Tapos gino-notify niya lang.
Oh yeah.
Like he will just press a button for this game, tapos press a button, slam dunk.
Oh, there you go. That's it. Talagang, I have to admit, there's one thing about the age of piracy in Pinas. Talagang, some would say that it never left. And we haven't even finished it. Pero the fact is, it really fostered a lot of creativity for Filipinos talaga. Natuto tayo dati ng technology through trying to figure out how to pirate things. I have to admit that. Now, let's move on to one of the original owners of cyber cafes naman. During that time, I'd like to ask Jomar about his particular experiences ng mga panahon ng 90s and 2Ks kung ikaw ba nagbenta ng mga unoriginal software natin dati? O alam mo kung saan maghalongkat ng mga dati ng mga panahon na 'yon? And let's not confine ourselves to software. Pag-usapan din natin ng music, pag-usapan din natin ng mga movies, pag-usapan natin yung mga kung ano-ano na mga
Educational.
natin dati. Educational, ganun no? Yeah, go ahead, Jamar.
Okay, before ako mag-start, tanong ko muna si General Tuna.
Yes.
Law enforcement ka ba talaga?
Dahil medyo mag-iingat tayo ngayon.
Supermassive.
Baka informer na.
Oh,
Hindi kasi sasabihin ko lang, sigurado alam kung gano'n, alam niya yung mga kung law enforcement ka nga, alam mo yung mga spot na sasabihin ko na ngayon wala na sila.
Kapkapan natin, baka may mga wires.
Kapkapan natin,
Oo,
baka may
yun
mga
nga.
wires. Hindi, sasabihin ko rin, it's more than 10 years. So yung lahat nung ginawa ko is safe na yun.
Yes, that's true.
So, well, yung sa question Tito Joel, oo, meron akong computer shop dati. Actually, sa computer shop ko, isa lang ang legitimate software ko nung panahon na yun. And that is Windows XP. Isang Windows XP. Yun lang. And I have like a bunch of computers doon sa aking computer shop. And all the software there are hindi legit talaga, bootleg talaga sila lahat. Mapa software, mapa kanta or movies. And then yung mga yon nakukuha ko sa actually 4 or 5 different spot. Depende sa kukunin ko. For example, pag software, actually sinabi ni Tito Joel yung sa Lasal, social ka pa noon, Tito Joel, yung kinukuha mo. Oo. Ako ang pinaka-social ko, ha?
Very fancy pirate.
Nako. Hindi, yun yung kasi yung pinaka-convenience sa akin. Pero dati natuto ako magpunta ng Carriedo, ng Abinidan, ng Raon. Doon ako naghahalongkat din. There was this one large building. I'll tell you guys all about it. Pero malamang yun rin yung pinupuntahan mo, Jomar. Go ahead.
Ayun, sa akin ang pinaka-social ko na siguro sa software is sa may Gotesco. Yung sa Moraita, yung tumbok ng Moraita, doon may malaking building doon. That is Gotesco before. I don't know ano na siya ngayon. So doon ang pinaka-social ko na software. Kung meron akong kukunin na sa tingin kong kailangan ko and kailangan ko mag-work ng maayos, doon ko siya kukunin.
Alam yung sa pinakatumbok na Moraita, hindi diretsuin mo nasa
di ba? You're from Espanya and then Moraita, di ba? FEU na sa right mo. Yung pinakamalaking building na dead end niya. Yung dead end.
Nasa tumbok
that
na.
is Gotesco. Yes.
Tama.
Doon pag sabihin natin kukuha ako ng ng operating system, doon ko siya kukunin kasi mas sigurado doon dahil meron siya talaga siyang install eh. Yan, exactly. Yan, naalala ko yan. And then pag kukuha naman ako ng medyo mas mura, hindi naman mga class A na pirated dati. Tatawid lang ako sa National Bookstore, katabi nun, ang tawag Mags and Chef.
Okay.
Doon naman, tambak din ang mga doon eh. Ang mga tawag dito, pirated software, which is mas mura doon. I can grab them for 20-30 pesos a piece. Tapos doon mo makikita yung sa Mags and Chef, doon mo makikita yung mga bundles, yung 10 software sa isang CD.
Oh yeah.
Sabi natin kasi ang usong-uso nun before Photoshops before naging sikat ang Photoshop is Corel eh. Alam mo kompleto ko ng Corel na sa isang CD.
Oh shit.
Tapos bilang mukha siya talaga siyang legit na na software, which is the good thing about dun sa Recto na mga binebenta nila, what I like is they don't need the crack kasi na-crack na nila.
Nice, pre-crack na. Okay,
you just install it and then the crack install with the software. And then may isa pa sa Gastambide. I'm not gonna go through that because that was do sa likod yun ng UE.
Okay.
For music and movies naman, I go to Quiapo.
Yeah.
Sa Globo de Oro, simula Arlegui hanggang Globo de Oro. Katapat yun ng simbahan ng Quiapo.
Okay. Ako naman yung sa Quiapo ko ay nasa tawid naman, papunta na sa Hidalgo.
Yes. Yes,
sa kabila.
that's the one.
Wait, Hidalgo.
Oo.
Sa bang Hidalgo ba side ba ng simbahan?
Yan yung Sir Jomar, 'di ba, mag-underpass ka, 'di ba, yung simbahan, 'di ba? Underpass ka para makarating ka doon sa kabilang
Ayun, meron na si Raymond.
Anong tulay?
Hindi kaya nga, is that the simbahan side or doon sa kabilang side?
Sa kabilang side.
Yun
side na
sabi ko. Yun ang sinasabi, Globo de Oro ang street na yun. Arlegui at Globo de Oro. Yan.
Okay.
Nandyan lahat ng mga kapatid nating Muslim na talagang papasok ka sa loob para siyang palengke.
Oh, yes.
This is the one.
Yes, ganyan.
Yes.
So, kumpleto doon. Meron siyang movies. The reason kaya ako na ano rin sa movies at saka sa mga kanta. Actually, meron akong computer shop. Pwede ko i-download yan sa LimeWire or sa Napster before.
Oo.
Right?
Napster. Oo, tama.
Napster.
Yes.
Yan.
Napster and LimeWire.
LimeWire.
Naalala na Raymond.
LinkinPark.exe.
Linkin.
Nako, patay.
Wala.
EXE, yari ka nun.
Wala, makita kayo, kaza.
Kaza.
Ayan, kaza pa yan.
Kaza.
Yan, kaza. So, kaya ako na pumupunta dyan sa area ng Arlegui area. Dahil
Arlegi.
meron akong meron kasing asawa ko, meron kaming business before na ang business namin is yung Zagu.
Okay.
Tsaka nagbebenta kami engbitin na mga hopya sa probinsya, which is nakakatawa. Yung sa probinsya noon, wala silang ganong access sa mga pirated noon, mahirap humanap,
I
di ba?
agree.
Kaya ako ginagawa ko, bumibili ako sa kanila, parokyano ako doon, tapos nakikipaghagil ako, bumibili ako marami, binibenta namin doon sa sa probinsya na tawag dito sa Nueva Ecija. At ito yung sample nun. Yan. So,
May example pa.
Oh, of course.
so yan ang ginagawa ko noon. For gamings naman, PS2. Kasi PS2, PS1 ang noon sikat noon eh. Hindi ako mag-hold back diyan. Medyo social ako. Raon. So, yun ang pinaka-social ko. Raon. So,
Specifically sa Raon.
Yes. Pag akyat mo sa bridge, di ba? Yung building mismong bababaan mo sa kaliwa, yun. Meron doon isang store na parokyano din ako dahil ang ginagawa ko, bumibili ako doon tapos binibenta ko rin sa mga sa mga sarili kong parokyano sa mga probinsya na merong PS1 at PS2 dati.
Yeah. So dealer ka rin pala.
Isa lang ang tulay sa Raon eh. Mas maganda, Sir Joe, i-Google Map mo. Wala na siya ngayon.
Para sa mga nakikinig sa atin, for those of you who are listening in the audio portion of the podcast, we are showing on Google Maps the exact places that we used to go to way back when. We are now reminiscing about the good old days.
Right here.
We're having an excursion.
Yes, we're having excursions as to where we used to find all those great software or movies or music we used to collect. Like Jomar says, they had compilations too. I think it was called King of PC ng mga panahon na yun eh. I think yung mga talagang lahat na yun.
So right here is the bridge. This is the only bridge.
Yes,
of
only
Raon,
bridge.
right there in the middle.
Yan building na yan. Yung sa corner sa southwest corner.
Oh, yes.
That one, the big building.
Yes.
So nasa harapan siya. Diba? So, ang maganda dyan kasi
right there inside.
Ito nga tricks nakakatawa. Pag pumunta ka sa kanya, hindi siya halata eh. Akala mo legit shop. Ang ganda ng store niya. Air condition na nun. Tapos meron ng mga free plays. Tapos yung mga binebenta niya talaga is totoong yung makita mo talaga sa SM. Yun din yung binibenta niyang itsura. Talagang Class S kung tawagin. Sabi ko nga, original ba to? Bakit ang mura?
Yun ang masaya. Yun ang masaya. Para to get away with it, always try to look official.
Yes, tama. Tapos, ang maganda doon, may bragging rights ka pa din. Kasi yung kaibigan ko may PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. Yung mga bala niya galing Amerika eh.
Okay.
Ako rin meron ako. Tingnan mo. Yung nga lang pag nilo-load niya sa kanya, ayaw mag-load.
Okay. Hindi, pero ang masama nun, siguro maganda yun ng magandang quality na binibili mo. Dahil kapag sobrang sama ng quality, there's a chance na pumutok sa loob ng drive mo yun eh. It happened to me once before. Na kapag sobrang sama yung quality ng CD,
nagka-crack.
Niran mo, nagka-crack tapos puputok sa loob ng drive. Yari na yung drive
dun sa loob.
Exactly.
Nasisira yung lens.
Exactly.
Oo,
Tama, sabi ni
yun.
JDM doon. All right, that
Oo.
was that was an amazing time for you, Jomar. Talagang
Oo.
naghahalongkat ka noon,
Oo, hindi tsaka hindi eh. Actually hindi ka maghahalongkat doon, Tito Joel. They have stock. Talaga
Oh, yeah.
naka-display. Tapos sabi mo, yun ang gusto ko. Tapos bilang pagbili mo 50, 100 dati. Imagine, di ba? Libo na ang bala dati, pero you can buy them as low as 50 pesos before.
Yes.
Nung
Kasi
panahon na
was
yun,
our
sabi
only
ko.
way. We were poor students back then.
We were.
Oo.
Well, first things first, though, I'd like to acknowledge everybody in the chats. Everybody who is in the chats. People seem to be having a great time in the chats right now, relating their own experiences. I'd like to acknowledge Joseph Carlo Esmero, who says, "Hi, sir." And of course, there's also Antonio Paco, family friend of the Baklits. Thanks very much for being here. And Jo Mari Dacer. What can I say? Jo Mari Dacer of JD Computer Solutions from Cagayan de Oro. Thanks very much, Jo Mari Dacer. Thanks very much for passing by. Please make sure you guys relate your experiences about piracy in the 90s and 2Ks here in the chats. We'll try our very best to read them out as well. Of course, there's also Marlon Hurtado Eliscupides. Let's not forget, one of our loyal viewers as well. All right. So, from Jomar, who is on the other side of the law, let's go to the official side of the law. Si General Tuna. Ayun, sige, General Tuna. You may or may not
Member
be
ng optical board yan.
you may or may not be a narc.
Saan po
But
kayo
yes,
nag-grade?
You may or may not be a narc, but
Yeah.
tell us your experiences naman, both on the official or unofficial side. We don't
Alright.
care. We want to hear your stories.
So here's the thing. I came from Mindanao, General Santos City. So that's like the southernmost point of Mindanao, right? And
Okay.
given the fact that I'm the youngest guy here in the bunch,
Yes.
so medyo delayed dumating sa amin when it comes to like tech, when it comes to video games, when it comes to what's in, right?
Yes.
Kung ano yung uso sa inyo sa Manila, like a year ago, kakadating pa lang yan sa amin, 'di ba? So talagang nauna yung bootleg kumpara sa original.
That's fine.
So yun nga, mas nauna yung bootleg kumpara sa original, and then malls aren't that accessible before kasi nga parang mayayaman lang nakakapasok at nakaka-afford talagang pumunta sa mall. So
that's interesting. Sige, I'd like to hear more about how things were in Gensan during that time. Sige, tell us more about it, General Tuna.
So as a child, 'di ba, na parang hindi naman kami ganoon kayaman, 'di ba? May kaya lang. Yung naging source ko ng stuff, right? Is yung kapitbahay naming mayaman. Na abroad yung tatay. So like I had a Micro Genius before. It's a bootleg Famicom. So ang ginagawa ko, siyempre humihiram ako ng bala. Like, uy, may bago kang bala na dala ng tatay mo. Oh, meron. Sige, pairam, ganun. And then lately ko lang nalaman na yung bili-bili pala na bala ng tatay niya, hindi rin pala legit. It's like yung mga 500 in one, like 50, 20 in one. Like, hindi rin pala legit yun. Ang ito, kung akala ko kasi galing abroad, diba? Akala ko parang legit. Hindi pala legit din yun. So that's like my first foray as a naive boy, right? Na parang walang kaalam-alam. Bootleg din pala yung nilalaro niya. So then came to a time na nagkaroon kami ng PC. Yung naging source ko naman ay yung mga tulad ni Kuya Jomar, 'di ba? Yung mga may-ari ng com shop na dumadayo sa probinsya. Kasi nga yun yung source, may com shop din siya sa lugar namin. Tapos, syempre, tinropa ko, kinaibigan ko, sabi ko, paano ba nag-i-install ng games, ganito, ganyan. Ato na lang yan, punta ako sa bahay nyo, dalhin ko hard disk ko. Tapos, may parang hard disk to hard disk yung ginagawa niya. So, it wasn't a CD, it wasn't like an actual like installation software. I think it's just moving files or copying files along the hard drive. Yun yung ginagawa niya, kaya ako nagkakaroon ng Battle Realms dati, nagkaroon ako ng Counter-Strike, like siya pa nag-install ng like Windows, I don't know, that was Windows 2000 sa PC namin dati. So, back then alam ko na kasi alam ko yung legit nasa box talaga di ba? Like may talaga may CD talaga So ginagawa niya parang kumakopy lang siya ng files. Tapos minsan dadayo ko sa com shop niya, anong bago? So ito, boss, Warcraft. Uso to Dota, may Dota. Sige, install mo sa akin. Install naman ako. So I got that for free eventually kasi nga naging magtropa na din kami. And then nung mga time na nagkaroon ako ng budget to like buy my own PSP na hindi ito walang nagbebenta ng UMD sa amin. Ewan ko bakit. There is none. It's like kasi 'di ba like kasi bumili ako PSP para saan yung doon yung likod, yung bumubukas yung likod. 'Di ba? Then doon ko nalaman na yung maliit pala na CD drive yun. Tapos nagtanong ako dito ngayon sa store sa Jensen, sa Gaisano. Kung may games kayo ng PSP, oh sir, meron. And then like pulls up this clear book. Like this thick clear book of games na alphabetical order. Sir, pili ka lang dyan. So, oh sige. And then like those are there. Like may pictures pa nung cover art. And then like, kano ba yung games dito? Like 50 pesos sir. Ano, depende sa laki nung memory stick. Oh sige. Oh. And then like, ganito lang pala to kadali. walang CD. Wala pa kayo nung CD. Ay, di sir, walang nagbebenta ng ganyan. O sige. Ganun na ginagawa ko. Like, nakahanap ako sa Clearbook ano yung bago. Like, I installed like the Yu-Gi-Oh games there. I installed God of War and shit. You know, it's like, it's a thick-ass Clearbook na umabot sa point na nagsara na lang sila. Parang magsasara na lang sila, yun pa rin yung Clearbook na gamit nila. Hindi na ina-update yung Clearbook. Like, wala ba kayong bago dito? Like, nakita ko na yung mga Monster Hunter, ganun. Wala na ba bago, sir? Wala talaga dumadating sa amin eh. Ay, ganun ba? So, like that.
Pero in a way, maganda na rin yun na the fact na all-in-one na, hindi na talaga, kung ano man yung, hindi mo na aalalahanin na may mga mawawala sa iyo na darating na bago. Dahil alam mo, lahat nandoon na.
Dapat
Tama.
Dapat pinili mo yung Clearbook nila para meron kang reference anong gusto mo.
Oo, tama.
Ito may nabasa akong comment kasi yung si Joseph Carlo, sabi niya, bumili ako ng PSP brand new. Yan din! Yung sa kanila ko jailbreak yung PSP, modified
naka-jailbreak na, oo, tama.
Pwede na yan. Seryoso, pwede na. Oo, pwede na.
Sa akin, hindi. Nung bumili ako ng PSP, original pa. And then for some reason, nag-offer yung nagbebenta. Boss, gusto niyo pa jailbreak natin.
Ayun.
Yung sa akin naman,
it was a free service.
yung sa akin naman, nung sa yung sa Raon, di ba sabi ko nga mukhang legit eh. Binibenta nila yung mga PlayStation nila doon, mga PSP. As in, naka-sealed eh. Pero pag modified na pala.
Oo.
Nakakasalimulan na ako eh. Oo, ang galing eh. Ang galing nga.
Pero hindi. Actually, may mga modified na PlayStation na that time.
Hindi, yung modified na magra-run ng peke talagang disc na may ano pa nga yung PlayStation ko, pag pa nga nakakatawa, nung binili ko sa kanila yon, di sealed. Siyempre po siya, urig eh. Kasi yung seal ng PlayStation nandoon pa.
Yeah, ganun kagaling yung mga pirata natin dati. Na akala mo hindi pa nabubuksan. Pero
Kasi yung pinsan ko kasi bumili ng PlayStation sa SM. It can already modify burn games na rin eh.
Ito yung sayo nakaka-read na, kaso ang problema pagbukas nung ganon, te-testingin kasi doon di ba? So te-testingin namin. Nung tinesting namin, ang nagtaka ko, ibang-iba dun sa kaibigan ko eh. Kasi sa kanya isang pindot lang yung green button eh. Sa akin meron 5 seconds, tapos bilang gano'n, tapos bilang mayroong sequence. Di ba naalala niyo yun?
Tama.
Naalala niyo yun? Gano'n. Sabi ko, parang hindi ganyan yung sa kaibigan ko. Gano'n. Hindi sir, modified na to.
No. Marami mga ambilis ng undernet technology ng mga panahon na yun. Like yung unang modification, may swap ka na disk, tapos later on, automatic na gano'n. Pero yun nga, kay General Tuna, let's find out. I mean, was there anything else na happened after? Of course, yung big binder ng PSP games nung ka kumukuha Yun yung parang naging portable gaming mo naman,
Yeah. And then sa kanila din ako kumukuha ng software ko ng like mga games ko din sa PC. May binder din sila, may Clearbook din. Pero yung nila doon, pag sa kanila ka bumili ng CD na blank CD, iba-burn nila yun on the spot. They don't have a stock 'di ba? Na parang
Okay.
naka-burn na. So
Okay.
kung sa'yo galing yung blank CD, mas mura. Parang 20 pesos lang ata. Ipa-burn mo
Okay.
sa kanila yung ISO, di ba? Pero pag
Mhm.
sa kanila galing, 100, mas mahal.
Ah,
So ako,
I see.
okay. So ganun, doon din ako
Kasi
kumukuha. Kasi at some point,
Bilis.
I owned a comp shop din sa Jensen before.
Mhm.
Doon ko din kinukuha sa kanila yung software ko. Na like lahat ng yung mga usual games, mga yung prototype,
Mm-mm.
yung mga usual games like Need for Speed,
Oo.
Call of Duty, doon ko kinukuha sa kanila yun. So,
Mhm.
naging suki na rin talaga nila ako. Yun nga lang, naging problema doon kasi parang any game beyond 2016 yata or 2015, wala na sila. So
Mhm.
like wala nang bago.
Ah.
Kaya syempre, well, that time meron na internet eh. Like
Oo.
nakakapag-download ka na ng crack files online. So
Mm-mm.
the ease of access to being a pirate has become easier.
Yes.
Diba? Na parang libre na kasi pwede mo na i-download.
Mm-mm.
Sa
Yeah.
movies naman sa movies naman and music,
Mm.
I think nakapag LimeWire din ako, nakapag YouTube to MP3 din before.
Mhm.
And then for movies, may nauso na rin yung mga torrent. So, nangyari nun, ako yung naging source sa mga classmates
ikaw
ko.
pala.
Yung pala, ikaw pala. Okay.
Ikaw pala.
Undercover,
Feeder.
undercover.
Oo.
Feeder.
Hindi, kasi ako yung naging, the fact na ako yung naging source, kasi parang bumilis gumanda yung estado ng buhay namin nun. Kasi nakapag-abroad yung tatay ko, nagka-internet kami agad. So, sa classroom, ako lang yung may internet. So, sinisingil ko yung mga classmate ko ngayon. Gusto nyo, papa-burn ka hindi sila nagpapa-burn eh. Nagpapa-bluetooth sila. So, ginagawa ko, nilalagay ko sa cellphone ko yung music, and then ibo-bluetooth ko sa kanila. Or i-infrared ko sa kanila yung music. Diba?
Modern na.
Modern na. Like,
Ang
that was like
ringtone.
2011 or 2010, di ba? Parang binu-bluetooth ko na lang yung music. Kung yung movies naman, like, sige, bigay mo sa akin yung flash drive mo, da-download ko bukas, bigay ko sa iyo ulit. Yung mga ganun. Diba? Sinisingil ko sila, like, 5 kada song, 20 kada movie. Like, the business was good.
Hindi, I mean, tama naman ang sabi ni Jomar. Medyo relatively new na yung experience ni General Tuna noon, pero it was still definitely a business during the time,
yes.
Naalala ko kasi ng mga panahon, nung sinasabi ni General Tuna yung Bluetooth na sa cellphone, biglang pumasok sa utak ko yung mga Nokia na umiilaw-ilaw pa dati ng mga
Actually,
panahon natin, Jomar.
infrared nga. Infrared yung Tito Joel yung sinasabi niya. Yung
infrared
nagtututukan kayong
Yung
ganon.
tututukan kayo.
Exactly.
Oo,
Na
nagtutukan
pag
kayo.
nagalaw, wala na, ulit, di ba?
That's it.
Oo.
Kapag naputol, yeah. There you
Kaya
go.
lalagay mo sa lamesa.
Oh my goodness. Ayun, now, from General Tuna, from Jensen, let's go to Cebu naman. I'd like to hear about the experiences of JDM, Juan de Marcos from Cebu. I mean, he did say that he grew up in Novaliches, pero was there time in Cebu City, JDM, na medyo nalulung ka sa sa bisyo ng piracy? Ganun.
Ako, first experience ko, hindi ko naman kasi alam din na piracy pala yun. Yung mga binibenta
Talaga.
na malapit sa amin. Yung totoo. Kasi, ilang taon ba ako nun? Mga around 2007 kasi bumili si Papa ng PS1. And then, may nagtatanong ako, saan ba kakabili ng nito, ng disc, hindi ba mahal or something, ganun. Dami kong tanong. Yung isang kaklase ko, nagkataon na meron din siya. In-advise niya, punta ka sa Nova Mall. Marami doon. And yun, hinanap namin. And katulad nung, like what Kuya Jomar mentioned, yung parang legit yung style. Yung style ng store, di ba? Parang business in the front, party at the back. Ganun.
Ano yun? Ang tawag doon, malit naman yung dating na siguro kwento mo rin yung JDM. Okay.
Ayun, ang pinaka-first ko yatang nabili is, I think it was Beyond the Beyond
yeah.
for the PS1.
Oh, yes.
And not sure if Pandemonium 2, yung parang 2.D platformer.
Yan yung clown, yung main character, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Tapos yung sa sorcerer. And ayun, doon ako namulat sa yung piracy. And then, not long after that, 1998, nagpunta kami sa yung papa ko kasi is nagtatrabaho sa isang malaking tiles, yung ceramics company
Okay.
sa UAE, Ras Al Khaimah. Bibigay ko yung yung coordinates kung saan
Okay.
na natatandaan ko pa siya eh. Eto sa private, ayan.
Okay.
Eto.
Sige.
Eto sa Jo.
Ayan.
Yan
Sa,
yung coordinates na yan.
sa UAE, okay. Doon kumukuha yung father mo.
Sa Nakil Ras Al Khaimah. Ano siya,
Sabi mo-
kasi yung panahon na yon during late 90s, hindi pa sikat yung yung Dubai eh. Yung factory kasi na pinagtatrabaho ng papa ko is in Ras Al Khaimah, not in Dubai or other Emirates, yung lugar sa there you go.
Okay.
JDM, sabi mo
Yes.
'di ba 2007 doon mo pa lang ikaw sa piracy.
1997.
Eto, 2007 yan eh.
MS Office eh, no? My
Hindi,
goodness, grabe.
1997, hindi 2007.
At 1997.
I have to admit, Jomar, during that time, wala kang makikitang MS Office na orig until na pumasok sa Pinas yung BSA, yung Business Software Alliance. Yun yung mga panahon na talagang dumating yung Business Software Alliance at saka in-enforce nila na lahat ng mga Windows at saka Microsoft Office kailangan original.
The only reason, Tito Joel, na meron ako isang Windows XP na original is dahil may nagsabi sa akin, uy, kailangan mo ng original dyan sa business mo. At least isa. Sabi ko, hindi ko naman naisip lahat na kailangan sa isang kada PC. Pero sabi niya kada isa para ipopost mo doon. Pero kung di ako naniwala sa kanya, 100% ng computer shop ko talaga, pirate talaga eh.
And nakadikit pa yung mga serial, di ba, sa parang yung poste na. Yung
plaque.
mga serial. Oo.
Okay, JDM,
Either sa
continue.
monitor or sa tower.
Sa tower.
Yes. So, yung OEM na serial number eh, no? Go ahead, JDM. Go ahead.
Ayan. So, Nakil Ras Al Khaimah. During that time pa nga is medyo like kay General Tuna is late, 'di ba? Late yung kasi Western sila talaga yung nauuna, and then sa Middle East is medyo may delay din. And none of the classmates that I had doon sa Ras Al Khaimah na may PS1 na, they were still playing yung 8-bit, yung Nintendo, which they call the Polystation.
What? Polystation. I remember that.
Oh, yes.
Astig yun, Polystation.
Yung NS and yung design niya mukhang yung
Yung
PS1.
Oo.
Talaga yung Polystation.
Oo.
Yan ba yung yan ba yung 9 million in one?
Oh,
Oo.
9 million, grabe.
Ay, grabe naman yung million.
Oo nga, yun nga. Sobra na yun.
Ulit lang yung games, iba lang yung title.
Oo nga, exactly.
9 million kasi merong modded version ng Mario. Alice
Ram
Cooper. Why is Alice Cooper in fucking Mario?
Exactly. O kaya si Mario mukhang si Sonic. I don't know. Anyway. Continue, JDM. Continue.
So, hindi pa nila alam na may PS1. So, nag-ikot-ikot kami ng papa ko kasi may mga kasama rin siya doon sa sa pinagtatrabahuan niya na pupunta dito, may sila. And nung pinuntahan namin, mga 8-bit yun, yung Polystation, yung mga cartridge. Parang wala kaming tapos merong isang pinagtanungan namin. So, siya, Indiano siya. Tinanong namin kung may kayong may PlayStation, ganun. Dumaan pa kami ng mga sulok-sulok para mapuntahan yung store. Tapos doon ko nakita ang dami yung stock ng mga bootleg na disc ng PS1 kasi wala pang late 90s, wala pang PS2. So PS1 lahat. Doon ko na unang nakita si Pepsi Man. Na isang file siya ng Pepsi Man na ganun. And
binibenta yun.
Binibenta. Hindi, kaya nga siguro nagkaroon ng kaya nga nagkaroon ng stock kasi sobrang dami ng copies na hindi nabebenta siguro.
Pero originally libre lang yun eh. Isa promotional
Parang promotion.
disc eh, di ba?
That's true. Oo. Yeah.
And ayun, so doon. Then umuwi kami ng 2000 sa Leyte. And medyo mahirap magano doon ng mga pirated CDs eh. Kasi medyo parang province like talaga nung 2000s. And I remember may classmate ako na may PC sa bahay. And he introduced me sa yung emulators.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And the first one na try ko is yung Game Boy emulator, nakalimutan ko na kung anong pangalan. And tinanong ko paano ko pa iraran sa paano ko iraran sa desktop ko. Yung desktop na dala namin from UAE is Pentium 2, tapos yung gamit niya is Pentium 3 na. Or somewhat Pentium 4, parang ganun. Lang, bigyan mo ako disket.
Yes, so yeah, there you go, diskette.
And guys,
JDM is now showing a 3.5-inch diskette from way back in the day.
This is legit, not 3D printed like what the zoomers out there are saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Save icon daw.
Is that the same button?
Yes, that's the save icon. No.
You whippersnappers.
You whippersnappers. Yes, that's true.
Ito yun. And this carries what capacity is 1.4 MB lang, di ba?
Yes.
And the only game, ang kaya ko lang i-copy nun is yung Pokemon game sa Game Boy. Yung
oo.
Yes,
That was
red,
like
yellow, and kasi
Virtual Boy.
around 600 KB,
Yeah,
I guess. Ganun. So, yun.
I remember certain shops sold pirated fucking Game Boy Advance games. Like, wait, there's Pokemon Sapphire on PC? Nung in-install ko, it's just fucking Visual Boy Advance.
Ito nga.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Alam mo,
Mga bundle.
yung sinabi ni JDM, yung pinakita mong ganyan, may sinabi si Joseph Carlo na Mega Drive is your friend. Dati kasi, di ba, 1.44 MB lang ang kasya dyan.
Yes.
So, ako, ang kinikip ko yung mga ganyan ko. Kasi ang CD masyadong mahal pa noon nung panahon na yun
Oo.
Ang pinaka ko siguro, hindi mo naman pwedeng burahin. Di ba? Once you write it, it's yun na
Yes.
Ang naging kaibigan ko dati is yung, familiar ba kayo sa iOmega, yung zip drive?
Oh, yes.
Those were the biggest ones before. And then pag yun ang binadala ko lang, yung drive itself and a bunch of floppy disk ng zip drive. It looked like yung ganyan, yung kay JDM, yung floppy disk, but mas makapal siya at mas marami siyang capacity. Yun ang bit ko dati. Yun, punong-puno rin ng mga kung ano-anong mga na-download ko sa LimeWire yun
Yes.
Sakit na.
I'll have to say though, I mean, getting back to downloads and storage media. Tama sabi ni Jomar na mga CDs dati ang mahal pa noon. And it was mind-blowing na lumabas dati yung CD na read and write. Medyo although yun na nga, hindi masyadong nagamit yun ng mga panahon na yun. Getting back though, I do remember nung mga panahon na yun, sabi ni Jomar kasi na medyo social ako dati. Hindi, Jomar naman.
Social
Nung mga panahon na yun, nagpupunta rin ako sa Carriedo, sa Raon, sa Avenida. Although napansin ko, pakalat-kalat din ako. Isa yun na masasabi ko, natuto ako na maglagalag sa Metro Manila dahil sa naghahanap ako palagi ng mga mapupuntahan para sa piracy. Ang masasabi natin, yung isang malaking puntahan doon ng bilihan ng mga sine, as in isang malaking building yon. Tama sabi mo, there's portions na talaga na may mga aircon, pero there's portions na talaga sobrang init. Ang pinaka hinahanap dati ng mga panahon na yun was yung Pearl Harbor na sine. As in talagang everybody was looking for that movie and ang hirap hanapin. Pero yun, meron
ako nun. I think I have one.
Oo, I think what was his name? Si Ben Affleck yata yun eh, no?
Oh, si Ben Affleck.
Yun na nga. Pero getting to the other side naman, there were one of the more popular places na puntahan naman dati for piracy was Brushier. Brushier,
Mhm.
Date Adventure sa Green Hills naman yon, and talagang pupunta ka, bibili ka ng
Social
mga
na
biscuit.
naman.
And it's hindi naman social.
Parang malapit ka sa
Green
brush
Hills eh.
Eh
Green
wala
Hills.
yun lang yung talagang puntahan eh, na talagang sa Green Hills. At saka yung mga panahon na yun, hindi pa social sobra yung Green Hills. Magpupunta ka sa Green Hills, may tatalon sa'yo, hindi mo alam kung kung o-offeran ka ng DVD or rapin ka. So, sorry na lang.
Well,
Ibang
Tito
offer yan.
Joel, yung sinabi mo na yan, meron din akong one-stop shop ng peke na lahat. Pwede lang
sige nga.
hayop. Pwede lang hayop.
Sige, ano yun?
Sa Cartimar. Lahat
Sa
peke
Cartimar!
doon.
Cartimar.
Lahat peke
Definitely,
sa Cartimar dati. Those were the days. Cartimar Recto or Cartimar dun sa Pasay ba yun?
Isa,
Oh,
Sabi
Pasay,
napaka-
oo.
Napaka well-traveled ninyo.
Ang nakakatawa nga, pag pumunta ka talaga sa Cartimar, ang hindi lang talaga bootleg doon is yung mga hayop na binibenta, yung mga ahas o mga binibenta nila doon.
Oy, bootleg
Sapatos.
din yun.
Oh, may bootleg din doon.
Alam mo kung bakit?
Oh.
Walang papel.
Oh, walang lisensya. Oo,
Ay,
na
hindi,
binibenta.
hindi siya bootleg,
Hindi
hindi
na
siya
sinasabi
bootleg.
totoong breed.
Oo.
Hindi sinasabi. Sasabihin sa'yo sawa. Pero pag tingin mo talaga, pag sinearch mo, garter snake lang pala.
Oo nga, yun nga eh. Well, ngayon na nabanggit nga ni Jomar, may tsaka medyo alam ni Raymond yung mga panahon. Alam ko si Raymond ang isa sa mga pinakabata sa atin. Pero I'd like to hear his experiences naman. Gusto ko malaman kung ano yung mga pinagagawa mo dati, Raymond, para makasave ng konting pera sa software, sa mga sine, sa music. Ikaw, kwentuhan mo kami.
Batang Green Hills ako eh.
Nako, patay. O yun,
Wow.
mayaman na naman. Okay.
Ang social to. Ang social nyo.
Actually, Batang Green Hills at the same time, Batang Metro Walk.
Metro Walk, okay. Sige.
Ito, teka. Galing sa Metro Walk to.
Alin
Xbox
yan?
na pirate.
Left 4 Dead, okay,
Orange.
tama.
Uy, mukhang ganda na itsura, di ba?
Ang kaganda ng itsura.
Class A.
Actually, marami yan eh.
Oh.
Ayan,
Yung naki Raymond,
Alam mo, dami kong-
hindi naka-pentel yung sulat na Left 4 Dead.
Hindi,
Yung
hindi.
talagang naka-print na, ayan, no?
Hindi,
Oo.
yung sa akin,
Years of
Tito
War.
Joel, eto, ako
Oo.
nang gumawa nito ay transferred
Oh.
dun sa mga original and going
Mm.
dun sa mga ganito. Kasi nga, actually, ang dami ko dati. Sobra, computer shop owner ako, ang dami ko yung ganyan. Hindi ko lang nadala dito dahil bawal nga daw, sabi. Pagdadalhin dito, dahil sa immigration, naharangin ka nung papunta na ako sa Amerika.
Oo.
Ang ginawa ko, kaya ako naipuslit yung iba, yung nandun sa binder ko na hindi ko makita-kita, is kinalas ko yung PlayStation 2 ko, nilagay ko sila lahat doon.
Oh my goodness.
Yung mga favorite ko lang.
Okay.
Pero yung iba, nilagay ko sa sa ganitong klaseng tas walang name. Kasi sabi nila, personal is fine. So kung hindi mo papangalanan, okay lang.
PS2.
Kaya ganun nangyari.
Ayan. Ito, pinapakita
Ano yung
naman
sabi
ni
niya?
Raymond yung PS2 niya.
Yan sinasabi ko yung ganyan sa raon.
Star.
Urig.
Yung sinasabi
Walang
niya.
online. Walang
Yung
online.
Online. Yun nga lang, walang online. Yun, kapag nag-online ka,
Italikod mo nga,
yayariin ka.
italikod mo.
Oo.
Italikod mo nga. Talikod mo nga.
Kulay purple pa.
Yan.
Yung
Ang difference
medyo
na nabibili
gold
ko
pa.
doon sa sa raon, kaya mapapaniwala kang na urig. Itim siya na CD.
Ay, oo. Yeah.
Oo.
Isipin mo na totoo yan.
May DVD game mo. Yung nakalagay.
Oo nga.
DVD game mo.
Players.
Pero yun
Sa
nga, ang
PS1
kwento
players.
ko.
Go ahead, Raymond. Sige, go ahead.
I was, kumbaga, Green Hills, taong Green Hills ako. From the hentai to the games.
Naku, patay. Yun ang hentay na.
Mayari na sa hentai.
Yarrr na. Oo. Sige.
Alam
Okay
na
lang.
natin yan.
Oo.
And then, siyempre, Metro Walk. Dahil ito yung sirkulo ng pag nasa Pasig ka, marami kang pwedeng bilan, like yung Green Hills, yung Metro Walk, and then yung St. Francis, if you all know St. Francis, bago pa siya naging call center tower right now.
St. Francis, yung ba yung sa likod ng Mega Mall?
Yeah, St.
Oo,
Francis
yun.
Square. Yung ground nun, sobrang talamak yung mga pirata doon na Muslim. Like, may ano sila may different sections sila like may pang games, may pang movies, may mga may pang PC o installer. So ayan. So yung sinasabi ni Tito Jomar dahil PC cafe owner siya. Ginawa ko din 'yan kasi naging PC cafe manager naman ako nung nag-aaral pa ako to have
Extra income.
allowance din extra income. So
Baka ikaw yung manager ko.
sa Binangonan naman to. Binangonan kasi ako ng that time.
Binangonan
Sa
Rizal,
Binangonan
okay.
ako. So ang ginagawa namin naman nung partner na ka-manager ko, pupunta kami sa Santa Lucia. May mga may mga pirata din doon.
Social din.
May mga may gusto kaming game na ipapasok dun sa PC shop. Ang gagawin na lang namin, ipupuslit na lang namin yung CD key.
Okay.
Ayun. So sisilip-silip lang kami tapos kokopyahin tapos match na. Ganun.
So Raymond it was a pirate of
next
pirates.
level pala to eh.
Oo nga eh. Siya yung namimirata ng mga pirata. Oo nga eh.
Kala nyo sa akin. Kala nyo sa masarap kaya mamirata nun. So yun nga.
Kasi yung mga keylogger mo nun, may music pa, techno.
Diba?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now you just brought back that memory, tricks.
So
The fact
from
that
PS1,
if you boot up the keylogger, you're treated to a little bit of a psychedelic show and all the different colors and music and everything, and presented to you by whatever group. I remember that. I remember those days.
So basically nga, PS1, medyo lilo ako. From PS2 onwards, ayan, dyan na ako naging pirata na talaga. Like, ang PS2 noon, natatandaan nyo yung God of War.
God of War, yes.
Yung unang God of War, nagkaroon pa siya ng yung kailangan DVD9 yung God of War. Pag hindi DVD9, yung God of War na nakakuha mo, there's a specific area do sa God of War na game na magi-stack up ka lang. Like pupunta yata yun sa Mount sa yung may na siya, may pakpak na siya that time eh. So doon pa lang mag-i-stack ka na, ibig sabihin, hindi DVD na yung ginamit sa'yo na CD sa pamimeke.
So, in a way, that was their way of putting in copy protection on that PS2 disc, on that PS2 game.
Pero napeke pa rin nila
Oh, yeah.
Wala rin napeke pa rin nila eh. Tapos, about naman sa mga walkthrough, ayan, Green Hills pa rin, ever since. Green Hills is the way to be, sabi nga nila. Yes. May gusto kang hanapin, pag taga Ortigas ka, Pasig.
Pag mayaman ka, yes, you have to go to Green Hills.
Nag-round din ako sa Kakaryeto, di mo pa alam. Alam mo.
Once the pirated software goes up to 150, that's for rich people na.
Uy, hindi ganun kamahal yun sa amin.
No,
like 100,
heading to Carriedo, Raon Avenida, Tutuban, and everything, you always had to have a hand over your pocket, because that was the area na you'd be afraid to get pickpocketed or your bag slashed or something. So
at saka nung panahon kasi natin, wala pa naman tayong extra, wala pa tayong trabaho. Syempre pupunta tayo doon sa kakapit tayo sa patalim.
Oh yes, that's
para
true.
Makakuha ng laro na gusto mo or movie na gusto mo or maybe porn na gusto mo or hentai na gusto mo o installer na gusto mo, 'di ba? Pero right now, ngayon, syempre may trabaho na tayo. Doon tayo sa legit, kunyari.
Yes, that's true. I mean, at this point, you do want to pay for the stuff that you consume as much as possible, of course. It's only right. But then again, those were the days when we were poor students. We just didn't have any money, but we were starved for entertainment anyway. Yun na nga, talagang hindi rin may iwasan. Ayun. So we have a couple more. We have a couple more people in the chats here. Antonio Paco says, DVD9 kasi mas malaki yung content na nag-hold compared sa DVD5. Grabe yung mga technicalities na yan. That's true. Yeah. That's very true.
Actually, hindi ko nga alam yung mga yan eh.
Yeah,
same alam here. Ko pag DVD9, Yun, kailangan malaki yung ano. So, wala
Although
akong
we
idea.
did learn. Isa sa mga malaking bagay na with technology, with piracy, we started learning about technology and how to implement it na rin.
Yes.
Of course, we'd like to say hi to RJ Hutchin in the chats as well, who says good evening. And Ray Q, he says, akala ko si Robert Downey Jr. ang guest. There you go. All right. So now we'd like to have somebody from the other side of the pond. We'd like to have Viraj Kathwadia here, who is in the UK right now. I'd like to hear Viraj's stories about his adventures on the high seas during that time in the early 90s and 2Ks. What were you in the UK by then, Viraj, or were you kind of bouncing around?
Yeah, I don't put this accent on. I don't have Indian accent.
I know. I know. Do the head bobble. Do the head bobble. There you go.
I don't even do it properly. They do it.
No, but then again, were you bouncing around between the homeland and and the UK during the time? No.
Yeah, I was born in the UK, but I do actually go back to India every now and then, and piracy is rampant in India. And you make a valid point. Where there's poverty, people are going to find ways to get games illegitimately. There'll always be a market for it to get it cheap at that market, and that's why Nintendo and Sega never dipped their foot in India. I mean, Sega did, but again, it was very for the elite back then, because only if you could afford it. Gaming only really took off in India, which is with PlayStation, because they wanted to do that, and Sony had such a reverence in India in terms of the networks. Obviously, Sony TV owns a lot of the Indian networks. But anyway, we talk about Britain, the UK, where I live.
Yes, let's talk about the UK.
So I grew up here, and video games were expensive, man, in the 90s.
Okay.
I was begging my dad for games left, right, and center, and he could only get what he could afford. I mean, as some of you are aware, I buy and sell retro video games at gaming markets, and we look at the prices and how retro games have skyrocketed, and the collectors buy it now, and people who have incomes that are regular, and people who have wealth, and people who have got promoted and get decent salaries have that disposable income. But as a kid, and you can't get those games, you're like, I've got to find another one. Back then, you'd borrow games from friends, because £40 in 1990 whatever, or £60 was a lot of money even then. Forget now. Then minimum wage wasn't even a thing in this country. There wasn't no minimum wage. It only became invented in around 2000, and then it was only £3 an hour, which was still low. But to buy these games, you'd have to work like 10 hours just to afford it. So look, my piracy adventure began in the after my father got me the PlayStation 1.
Okay.
I see people pulling out PlayStation discs and all that stuff, and PlayStation 1, I was in school, I was in my grade 7 first year, where things start to get serious, because you're trying to sort of get the best grades you can, and my father would only buy me video games if I did well in school. That's the way it is. Yeah, did I do well in school? Well, my brother was just better than I was, that's the truth, and he'd get more than I would. So but the real reality is it's £40 for a PlayStation game, and even my father, he struggled to even get the PlayStation in the first place. I got it in 97. The thing was released in 1995, but even then, after a while, my father found a way to do something. It was my father who did this. He gave away my PlayStation to a guy who chipped it. He put a chip in there, and again, a lot of people chip their PlayStations that I knew, because I come from a working class background. Of course, they're going to do it. And there were all these you could copy a PlayStation CD using a CD burner, or you could get a game from Malaysia abroad. You can play any disc, from any arena. And a lot of people wonder, why did they have different games released in different regions and all that? Part of it is not to do with power NTSC. Part of it is to do with price discrimination. Okay.
Oh.
The American, it's same with DVDs. Like, why is there this released in and also to do with release dates? But DVDs in America, okay, they're cheaper than the ones in the UK. And I've just multi-region switched my DVD player or Blu-ray player, so it'll play any region now. So I can buy something cheaper in America. On average, it's £5 to £10 cheaper in America, for these sort of things. So why not, So my father chipped it, and I had a relative go. My father was going to Malaysia, and he said, "Right, Viraj, I want you to give me a list of video games that you want, and I'll get them cheap for you."
Cheaper, yeah.
Bomberman World, get me Clay Skull Monkeys, get me this. So I just gave him a list of games or PlayStation games. He went there, and he gave me I should have given him a big list, because only £1 or £2. in the UK money to get these games to work. I had like 20 PlayStation games just brought back to me, and there it was. Why pay for a legitimate game? Obviously, the only reason you buy a legitimate game is if it's worth something. A pirate game isn't worth something if you can't resell a pirate game. No one's going to buy it.
Of course not. Yeah.
As time had gone on, that I had my PlayStation through piracy. Okay, so that was really it. I mean, yes, there was the Nintendo 64, but that piracy was not happening for Nintendo 64.
Well, let me ask you something, Viraj. In the UK during that time, were there places that you went to buy unofficial software, shall we say?
So official game shops wouldn't stock it for legal reasons. They regulate. There's something called trading standards we have here, and they're a body that exists, and they go around to these places and they check these things out. So no legitimate video game shop would sell this stuff. The guy who actually chipped the PlayStation was also the guy who copied the discs on his burning device. He's the one who would do it. So, like, my copy of Driver on my PlayStation is on a Kodak media disc.
Okay.
This is Kodak on it, but it's in there and it worked in a PlayStation. That's how we did it. So that's it. The only thing you had to do with the PlayStation once you chipped it was I had to get rid of. Back then, obviously, we had RF switches via aerial lead. That's how we'd play on the CRTs. But there was something we have in Europe called SCART, and it's a different lead. SCART lead, yeah. With
Tell
SCART,
me about it.
The reason we had to do SCART is because once you chipped it, the side effect was everything would appear black and white on the TV. So you had to buy a separate SCART lead for your PlayStation 1 to play it that way. So that's how I did. So the PlayStation was my main sort of thing, which I pirated, and also PC games. Like Quake, like back then there was no CD lockout. So Quake 3 Arena, my copy was a pirate, and it would still work online with everything because there was no lockout back then. And I had a high-tech PC with a CD burner back in those days, which was expensive, but I had it. So why pay for a video game when I can just do that for free? And buying blank discs, you could do it with verbatim discs. I see JDM holding something up. You could just buy some.
Yes, there you go. Let's bring him up on there a little bit here right now.
I'll do it for my friends. Burner. Obviously, mine was actually built into my PC, so I was right. One underneath the other. I'd copy movies. I'd do everything back in those days. You could. I don't do it now because obviously time has gone on, and there's so many other ways of doing it now. It's ridiculous. Yes. But back then, this was the contemporary software at the time, and that's how we used to do it. Another thing I did as well. I know it's not piracy. It's obviously the classic thing. I'm sure it's been discussed here already. You've got people pulling out their blank discs.
Yeah. Jomar shows a whole platter.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
That's what I had. I had exactly that as a kid, and my friends would come around and say, "Can you copy this game for me? Can you copy?" I became that guy. And as time went on, obviously technology got better. Those CD lockouts, games became much more high def, and obviously that computer became obsolete. But towards the late 1990s, that's what I was doing. I was copying for PlayStation and PC. Well, not for PlayStation. I was buying copy games for PlayStation, but I was burning and copying PC games. But I, in time, I sort of still never really lost my love affair for, as 16-bit games. And the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, ROMs and emulations were developed in the late 90s. And you can play them on your Windows 98 computer, play Mega Drive games effortlessly. The only problem was the internet was so slow; it would take so long to download a 3 megabyte ROM. Yeah, it's laughable. But with dial-up, you'd have to wait like an hour or something for it to download at those speeds.
Oh yes, that sound is embedded in my memory. Oh my goodness. Okay.
and to be honest, those Mega Drive games and Super Nintendo games were quite cheap in the late 90s. But I just didn't have an income to buy those cheap games, so I just played them on my PC for free. Now they're worth a bit of money now, but it was another way to play games. And whilst you can always argue piracy is bad, it's detrimental to Sony or whoever's making those games. Well, I still see Sony making consoles, making billions, so they were the leader anyway. I mean, the worst one to pirate was the Dreamcast, because there was no CD lockout with Dreamcast. You could just copy a disc and you're done, and that's why people bought Dreamcast. They Dreamcast the best console. Of course it bloody was. You didn't pay for the software.
Exactly.
It's so open source.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
So you need the money more than Sony, and that's one of the reasons you could argue it's failed. The people didn't buy the software because people were copying it. So nobody talks about that aspect of the Dreamcast. But going forward, from that point onwards, as it's become like, you could talk about PS2 piracy and things like that, and how we do it now is you could just get a SATA hard drive, put all the games on it, and just shove it in there, and obviously do a bit of modding, it'll work. So now that
something like this.
Yeah, so you could, there we go. So my friend bought 2 PlayStation. Yeah, so my friend's bought 2 PlayStation 2s because he realized that he's going to need 2 SATA hard drives. He goes, Viraj, how am I supposed to do this? So I've got games A to M and N to Z on these the 2 hard drives. I'm going to have to keep taking one out and put it in the other. It's a headache. I said, just buy 2 PS2s. They're cheap as anything now. And that is what he's done. Just leave them in there. And it's just, we live in an age now compared to then where piracy is still a thing. Okay, there are modern consoles. You can hack like Nintendo. Like, there's no secret about you can hack a Nintendo Switch. I'm not ever going to admit to doing it on these streams, obviously.
No, of course not. No,
but you can.
We're just relating all our experiences from way back when. Yeah, go ahead, Viraj.
So your piracy is there, and you can talk about the experiences of doing it, but I'm more like this down, like, well, I can afford to buy these games now. I don't need to do this. And I don't mind putting money back into an industry which I care about. Or if there's an indie developer that's made a really good game, I'm happy to pay the money for it.
Yes.
As long as I get the physical digital copy of it, I'm happy. And video games are so much more cheaper than they ever have been, if we're being honest. Video games were expensive when we were growing up because it was all cutting edge technology. And I take my cap off to those people who bought those games, because those people who paid for those games have invested in this industry, which allowed to snowball into something from $1 million industry to $1 billion industry, making it like there's so much out there. We're spoiled for choice in this day and age. That's why prices have come down for buying these video games, because they're all competing with each other. But going back to my earlier point, in those earlier days with compact discs, if you had the high-tech computers, you could do all these things. And there was always a way of doing it. Now I would say that, compared to yesterday, because game sizes are so much bigger, it just takes a lot longer to pirate a video game.
Very true. It's proportional, I guess. In the old days, the game sizes were small, but because of how slow internet was, it took about the same time to pirate it anyway. And now, games are 72 gigabytes large, I think, nowadays. I think I saw that. 100 gigabytes. I think Raymond mentioned the update to Final Fantasy VII was a certain number of gigabytes, I'd say. Anyway, continue, Raj.
So when you pirate these things, like my friend, he did his PS3 because he can hack them now. I said to him, buy the game. It's less time just to buy it. Is it worth the hassle? Just pay £10. It's recollecting cheating. Close the PS3 online shop. It's cheap to collect PS3. Listen, guys, if you have a PS3 and you haven't bought the games yet, buy the games before they close the shop. Because I'll tell you something, it's a good thing to invest in those games because they will go up in price. I promise you.
Very true. Yeah. What is the projected date, Viraj? What is the projected date of the closure of the PS3 shop?
Well, this is the story. So I think it was 3 years ago, Microsoft, when they were threatening to close their shop, Sony were going to do theirs. And Microsoft closed their shop for the 360. Okay?
Yes.
And then Sony were going to do it. Because of pressure, they didn't do it. So they've kept it for another 2 years. I suspect this year, they'll announce they're going to close it. I suspect. It could be next year or this year. But honestly, now is the best time. For those of you who own a PlayStation 3, best time to collect for physical is now. Because prices are affordable now. And again, I suppose you could hack a PS3, but we all know the memory sizes for these high definition PlayStation 3 games are so heavy. Even with today's technology and internet, it's going to take you ages to just download the game. And if you have a hard drive, hack the PS3 and then put it in, just buy the game. If you want to play it, then buy it. Unless you're crazy like me, who wants to have the entire library on a disk or a hard drive or something, or and have a compilation, then that's fair enough. But getting these games is very easy to attain. There are some games that are expensive because they were just after those printed, but I would say that's the format to sort of go for. You can pirate it. The Nintendo Wii U, which we think we'll be covering in a few weeks from now. We haven't done a video on the Timeless Gamer podcast about the Wii U. I am a Wii U owner. I bought it on release, and that's an amazing system to mod because you can. And this is piracy. I say mod, piracy. You can actually get the games. You can mod a Wii U to play the entire GameCube library, the Wii library, and the Wii U library. Just on a hard drive. So you have 3 versions of Nintendo running on a Wii U. Isn't that amazing? And you can even put Nintendo DS as well. The entire DS library running on the Wii U because it's got a dual screen, and you're playing it on a big screen TV. You're laughing, and that's just a handful. You can do all the retro stuff on Wii U. The Wii U is actually one of the best consoles to mod if you just want all the Nintendo stuff.
The Wii U is an amazing machine. It was just terribly marketed. That's
terribly marketed, but in terms of its capability now,
and
you can get it at good prices. And if you're into modding and hacking, that's a nice little system. Just want to throw it out there. But
I'm liking it so far.
Oh, there you go. Joe is showing off his Wii U. Come on, I'd love to get my hands on one of those right now. But I have to admit, they're getting a little expensive. They're getting a little expensive stateside.
Buy them before they get too expensive. Go on, get one. Get a Wii U. It's good.
Right.
It's worth buying for the experience. And get the 32 gig edition, the black one, the white one. But going back to the whole issue with piracy. Okay,
yes.
So we talk about the PlayStation platform, talk about PC platforms, PS2 I've mentioned as well. With Game Boy Advance, that's when Nintendo came for me, and this is a true story, guys. Okay, back in 2003, 2004, I used to run a video game ROM site called VGFuture.com. It's closed down. Okay, it's gone now. But
MU Paradise.
ROMs. I used to get ROMs. And I used to work with the Japanese and all the hackers that were doing it. And I used to work in a game shop back then. Well, I worked in a technology shop, but they sold games. And what I had is a linker. It was a little device I had. They'll let you put a Game Boy Advance cartridge in there. Via USB, you can upload the ROM onto your computer, and then you can unload it on the internet. Now, part of my responsibilities working in this game shop was I was responsible for, well, it's a technology shop, I should say, but I was responsible for the game section. And I'll get the games, and I'll take the cartridges out. Listen, as long as I return the game the next day, no one's going to know it's missing, yeah? Take the ROM, and not only will I take the game, I'll take the game before it was even released, okay? I got Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga for the Game Boy Advance a month before the official UK release and American release, and I uploaded the ROM on the internet.
So what you're saying is that you broke street date.
I broke the rules.
Okay.
When you're getting 30,000 hits a month, a week, 30,000 hits a week. People are coming to your site downloading ROMs. The most popular GBA ROM I remember downloading was Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. That's 33,000 people downloaded that ROM from my site. 33,000 times £30. That's how much money was lost. If you think about it in terms of potential sales, that's a lot of money. But then you can argue those 30,000 people were never going to buy the game anyway.
Agreed. Yeah, that's true.
And if they were like me anyway, if their game was of any good quality, I would buy the game out of respect to the artist. And I did that a few times. My Game Boy Advance library, as you know, was quite big, and that's because I loved the games and I thought they were worth buying. The Game Boy Advance had some great games. So emulating Game Boy Advance on PC is when Nintendo came down on me because they found out 2004. I got my host got the email and he said, this is what I got sent. You've got it as well. I was like, oh dear. And he goes, well, forget Nintendo. Let's just keep the ROMs up. I said, are you crazy? This is my host I'm talking to. And he goes, they'll come after me. They'll come after you. They're gonna come. They'll send the Yakuza. What you
Oh no, they will. They will.
Can I ask what the name of the site was again? I just wanted to make sure.
It was VGFuture.com.
VG Future. You can check out Internet Archive. I'm pretty sure it's there.
There, you'll see the little Pac-Man little graphic that I put up there. Anyway, in the end, I had to remove the ROMs from the site because I said to him, it's only one phone call from Nintendo USA to Nintendo Europe, and that's it. You know what I mean? Let's just remove the ROMs for the site, and that's what I had to do in the end. So Nintendo, they are the ones that are hot on piracy, as we know in the news. They will come for you, and they were hot on it in 2004. I had a younger cousin who was doing Nintendo 64 ROMs, same sort of thing, emulating via PC. If you had a powerful computer, then you could emulate N64 to a certain degree. With Nintendo DS, however, the only way to really play those games via piracy is getting an R4 card. And that's
yes.
As you know, you put it in there in a Nintendo DS, you put the ROM from the internet, and away you went. I never bought on. I got an R4 card years later, but I never bought on with that. You know what I mean? I was happy to buy the DS games for what they were because they were. I could get them basically at that point. And with 3DSs, again, if you want a Nintendo handheld to hack, that's a really good one because you can hack it, and then you can, a lot of people are upset with what's the name of that 3DS emulator that they took down along with
Citra.
Citra? Yeah, a lot of people are upset because they've taken away Citra now. You don't need Citra if you've got a 3DS because you can hack it, and you can download the ROMs and play it on that. And to be honest, guys, those of you who have a 3DS will know what I'm talking about. It's the best way to play a dual screen experience. You'll play you can have 3DS games on a 256 card in the unit and download the games that way and play it that way. And you can have like 300 games, which is more than enough for anyone. 300 of the best games. You can, if you really want to be anal about it, you can download a number of these games on multiple SD cards and have the whole library. You can also have Twilight app or whatever it's called, and you play the 2DS games on there, Game Boy Advance via emulation, all on that 3DS device. Amazing way to play all the Nintendo handheld stuff. And you can even do Mega Drive and stuff on a 3DS if you wanted to. There's so many of these handheld platforms from not just Nintendo, but there's so much what I call Chinesium from AliExpress that you can buy, which are these finest Chinesium, all these handhelds. There's so many of them, and they just got games loaded onto this. Amazing, you know. Oh, there we go. Anton's looked and see the archived site, you know, mybgfood.com, which I used to run with someone called Tom many years ago. But yeah, I had a lot of fun back in those days. And there's just, now we live in an age now where there is so much great retro stuff behind us, you know, so much great retro stuff behind us that are just at our fingertips. We don't have to pay money for it. You don't have to pay money for it. I mean, you could argue a lot of this old formats are abandonware. Arguably, like, are Sega really going to make money out of this Mega Drive game, which they haven't re-released in forever, or a Sega Saturn game? You know, are they really making money on this? And if you were to buy a pre-owned Sega Mega Drive or Saturn game, the only person who's going to get the money is the person selling it. That's the truth. You know, the people who develop these games, probably their small little companies have either been bought up or they've finished, they've vanished. So, you know, I would say for really old games, a lot of it is abandonware. Although you could also argue, well, Nintendo have licenses for this, and that, and they re-release it. Why can't you buy it legitimately? But then I could argue, well, I did buy some of their games legitimately. You know, I bought that game legitimately. Why can't I have a digital copy? So there's so many like grey areas when it comes to piracy. Like where does it really hurt the organization? And I guess that's the road people will navigate within their own moral compass, shall we say. And, you know, I would urge, look, like those of you who can afford, you should buy, because it's an industry that we love. But then those of you youngsters on limited income, I'm not saying I'm an advocate for piracy, but let's just say I understand.
Mm-hmm. Because we've all been there. We've all been there. Have to admit.
No money. I didn't get no pocket money. Yeah, I only got money for tours. Some people just get pocket. I had friends who I used to be so jealous of. Yeah, they'd come round. Yeah, every week. Oh, I've got £10 pocket money this week. You got £10 pocket money for doing what? For being his son? I get nothing. You know. Some people are so privileged. I tell you, and they could get any game they wanted. It was me. I had to like work for it. I had to grift. And that's why I went into the underworld and did what I had to do.
Viraj's friends got £10 pocket money. Viraj got a pound of slipper on his ass because, you know,
I think that's the reason why, you know, why the game is expensive before.
Or something, you know, I do little things, but no, £3. What video game is £3 going to get me? Nothing, you know. Get into town, to get me back, you know. So I had to scrimp and save to get whatever I could get and hold on to. And you know, I can understand why people wanted to enjoy the latest games. And if your parents are working class and haven't got the money, etc., you got to do what you got to do. But I understand. Like, now I'm at the age now where, you know, I'm not saying I don't pirate games. Well, now I'm at the age I will pay for new things if I think they're worthwhile. The only issue I have is I'm very skeptical, and I'm very much more because I have less time to play the games, as we all do. With those of you who have families, responsibilities, etc. Because our time is finite, you know, in terms of how long we can play a game for. I'm very much more picky about the money I want to spend on video games. So that's me. Obviously, it depends on how much time you gentlemen have when it comes to playing games. But you know, piracy. I will say, I want to just reiterate this point. It's a good way to sort of play a game. Okay, and if you like it that much, you can buy it.
You can buy it.
I'll tell you, it's gonna make you laugh, right? I bought this game called I'm illegitimately playing this game called River City Girls. All right.
Yeah.
I've been playing this game. I've got it illegitimately. I've got number 2 on an unknown game system, which I will not mention. Modified so I can actually do what I want to do with it. And in the end, I thought, no, I really love the soundtrack to this game. I actually want to buy the soundtrack CD for this now. And I found out that it was only available on pre-orders for this thing, and people are reselling it. And I found a really good price for it on eBay, so I bought it with the soundtrack. But I could only buy it if I was buying the game with it. So I have actually legitimately bought the game that I've pirated just to play the music CD in my car stereo because I love the music so much. How crazy is that?
It just goes to show. It just goes to show. It's not just the software itself that you can be influenced to buy. It's also anything that's related to it, like the soundtrack, maybe the merchandise, like Fallout 76. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now. If you legitimately like a particular piece of software, or if you're interested in it, and you get influence in buying something that's related to it, then it still generates a little bit of income for whoever's marketing it.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question earlier, because you asked me where would you get these pirated video games back in the 90s? Case now, I mentioned trading standards. They'll come down if you're in a legitimate gaming shop selling legitimate software, but you're selling illegitimate things. They'll come down on you. Even now, because I do, as I mentioned, the London gaming market is tomorrow in London. I'll be hosting. Well, I'll have my own table. I'm a trader. And one of the terms and conditions of the market hosters is, look, make sure you sell legitimate games. They have it written there. And there was an incident last year when I visited the market. I saw a girl and she was like, "This is a fake game," to a trader, and she pulled. It was a Game Boy Advance game, and it looked legit. But when you look close, you see underneath the pins. You can see the Nintendo emblem isn't there, and the pins are more silver color than a gold one. And it was a reproduction. And then the seller said to him, and she was like, "Where did you get this game from?" And he said, "Oh, I got it from CEX." So some of these, he bought it from a reseller. So sometimes these games can get slipped through, and inadvertently you get reproductions that, or I don't want to use the word reproduction, illegitimate reproduction, pirated games that have been reproduced, and they do slip through the net with these exchange shops out there, and people do get burnt, and they try to resell it off. I don't know if the guy legitimately thought it was fake or not. Whenever I buy games, I just want to make sure if anyone's listening, if anyone's coming into London game market, none of you are because you're all in the Philippines or away.
No, I mean, heck, some of the audience members might be, what we call herederos, who are like,
they might be in London on vacation listening to this, but it's in Russell Square by the Royal National Hotel. You can look it up. You find London game market there. You have to be very careful with having games on your table. People, I do scrutinize. There's one guy who, because of piracy, can also affect legitimate traders. Like, man, I just want to link to this. There's one guy, he came to me in November when I was doing the gaming market for my little stall, and he was a bit like disabled, a bit autistic, but he saw this game and he fell in love with it immediately, and it's called Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku 2 on the Game Boy Advance. It's like an action RPG. It's a wonderful game. If you haven't played it, give it a go. Both Legacy of Goku and Legacy of Goku 2, brilliant game. Because I've been looking for that game for a while, but every time I keep buying, I keep getting fakes. I keep getting burnt. That's what he said to me. Can I test it to see if it's legitimate? And I'm like, face palming. I'm like, of course it's legitimate. It's in the official box. Are you done? But I thought, do you know what? I'll open it up for him. I'll show it for him and give him that level of customer care. Put in a Game Boy and show it all turning on. Are you happy with that? I showed him the cart, showed the pins. It's all legit. He was happy to give me the money in cash, and that was the end of it. So sometimes piracy can hurt legitimate people selling legitimate games because there's so many of these clone copies out there, and they're worried that is it legitimate. And these other two guys, I call them the Mario Brothers because they look like the Mario Brothers.
Okay.
They look to Anyway, so I'm not going to discriminate or sound like I'm discriminating against them because they're actually quite nice fellows, and they're like, they saw my Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance on my table, and they're like, okay, so £160 for that. And obviously the price of that's gone up now, by the way, those listening, it's worth 210. But the box copy back this November was 160 for me, as far as I was concerned. So he opened it and he looked at the cartridge, like, is this legitimate? And there was actually a watermark on the cartridge label itself, which has a number in it, and he couldn't see it. And he questioned me, where did you buy this game from? I said, there's a shop. It was a shop called Awesome Games in Walthamstow. It's closed down. It was a shop. It's legit. And they were like umming and ahhing, thinking, I can't see it. And they were so fussy about it being legit because they were worried. They didn't want to be stung with a pirate cartridge. It's only a little Game Boy game. I'm like, okay, I suppose if I was paying £160, I'd want to be there. I'm like, well, look closer. That's what I told them. And they did look close. And they found out that, obviously, after years of being pushed in and out of a cartridge slot, the inbox it's going to be depressed. So they looked, they thought,
Right,
okay,
right.
yes, you can see it. And then they gave me the cash and they went. So you are going to get people out there that want to buy. If they're going to spend money, they want to buy the legitimate one. They don't want no stinking pirate copy. You know, they'll pay a pirate copy because you can't resell that, sadly. But you know, so yeah, you can't buy pirated games openly in the United Kingdom because it's so heavily policed. It's only like say if someone like you know someone that can do this for you, can do this only through word of mouth now. Yeah, even me, like, you know, I have to be careful because there are some modded products that I'm capable of making, as you know, with mini consoles, shall we say. I'll go as far as that, and I can do it for some people. But even then, I'd never ever advertise it on my Facebook or social media or any of my legitimate accounts. These are things that I do on the quiet, and I keep it to the side, and I have a discussion with them. Okay, we'll do this, and this is how we're just going to do. We'll make the trade there, and that's it. It's all very you know, undercover stuff, you know. Stuff. We have to do it on the side, and we'll have it in my details. We'll just talk in private, and that's it. And I'll make sure it's not recorded or whatever, because that's the only way you can do something like that. You can't legitimately do this stuff. You say that, but I see people doing it on eBay saying, I offer a mod service for this, this, and this, and I think it's only a matter of time till they'll get shut down in court. That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't do it like that.
It's very different,
There's
actually.
eBay.
Yeah, there's eBay. The thing about it's very different though. The fact that Viraj is describing a very, very closed system in the UK where you can't legitimately go to, you know, one of those mall shops and then just find a piece of software that you're looking for on a burned disk. It's very different, like over in the Philippines. It's the way that we have it, even out in the open in the malls. Like you go to Star Mall in Alabang, or Star Mall right in front of Shangri-La Mall in Mandaluyong. There used to be, back in the 90s and 2000s, like stalls and stalls of people selling blatantly selling unofficial software. And
Yeah.
I mean, we had tons of fun way back when, enjoying ourselves digging around all of these places. And like Viraj says, it's a question. It was out of need. It was out of necessity because you really didn't have all that much income back then. Back in the
Yeah,
90s and
that's why it's
2000s.
expensive before compared to now, because we don't have any income from before.
Very
And,
true.
it's very interesting, Tito Joel, on Viraj's story. When I got here 2006 in the US, so I have my modified PlayStation from the Philippines. It's really hard to find those kind of pirated softwares.
Yes.
I've looked through stores and stuff like that. So it's a culture shock because in the Philippines you see it everywhere. But then I found one of this store that it has a speakeasy back room.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but up until now, yes. So but up until now, he has it. I'm not gonna say the store
Yes.
because for legal reason.
Yes.
So that's where I
For
get
safety
my
and security reasons.
I mean, I'm sure there are places here that exist like that, but the trading standards, well, if they just get a whiff and somebody snitches, they'll come to the store, inspect the whole premises, and it's game over. That's why these people.
Yeah, it's game over. Exactly. I cannot say it, but I can show you. Right. So yeah, that's one of the culture shock. I was looking for a pirated PlayStation disc before, and then I saw this guy, and then I from Facebook, and then I met with him, and he has a store, actually, a big one. But it's not impossible, but it's hard to find one. So if you found one, you're gonna make him your friend. Eventually, he's gonna be your friend forever.
Your best buds,
where to
right
look.
there.
They're there.
It's amazing finding out about this piracy thing in the UK. Like the difference. Like I thought there would be at least someone doing a lemonade stand and at the back. You just you just ask, hey, do you got something like this? Nah. Well, meanwhile, over here, you got someone selling ducklings while him also having Atlantic Rim, which is a cam rip. The cam rip quality.
Just to clarify, Tricks, I live in London, okay, which is the capital city, where there's lots of police, lots of resources being here, lots of population, lots of basically all the jobs are here. So everyone's looking at it's densely populated. Everyone's looking at everyone's business here. Now, sadly, Sudan isn't here, and he's my, shall we say, my northern counterpart in Nottingham. And up there is bandit country. Anything goes. So you know what you just said? Maybe up where he lives, you know, where all the bandits are, there's a lot more piracy there. And it's probably
so Nottingham. We're talking about Robin Hood area here. Okay.
From the rich and give to the poor. You know, that's what it is. You know, I think, you know, Sudan is descended from one of his merry men.
I mean, I would believe it. He's one of the men types, even to this day. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Little John, you know. But,
oh my God.
We're just helping ease the tax relief.
You look at north of England, because London itself, and he'll agree with me when I say this, is its own economic body. Yeah, most of the GDP of the UK is mostly London. Like out of it, it's very London-centric. This country, I'd say 40% of the money that comes in the UK is London. If I'm being honest, the rest of the country, 60% is the rest of England. Now, you know, I will say that there are parts of London the UK that are a little bit deprived. I'm not saying that Nottingham is a dump or anything. There are probably some lovely areas in Nottingham and Coventry and all these other cities. Because they're smaller and less money gets thrown at the policing there and all sorts of things, you know, you can get away with. I'm not saying you can because I've never lived there. So Dan is really the person there. So I don't want to say anything that's inaccurate, but I can assume and presume that there's a lot more of it going on up there. And I'm assuming this because I noticed that the pricing is different. So when I do the London gaming market, and I've looked at other people's gaming markets and other tables on YouTube and what they price their games at, and I've realized that their prices are a little bit, quite a lot less sometimes, or a little bit less than what I sell my games for in London, because the economy is different there. And if they made the retro games a little bit cheaper than London, the affordability is harder for them because they don't have as high paying jobs as we typically do in London. Sorry if I come across as a snob, but we do get paid more in London typically compared to the rest of the country.
No, I mean it's fact. It's a reality because certain areas have certain income disparities.
And where there's poorer people, you're going to get more people trying to get something for a lot less, or piracy is going to be a thing. And people will think, okay, I can't do the legitimate thing, I'll try and do it. And I mentioned India because, you know, I when I went and visited as a youth in 1994, I visited some extended family and they had a Super Nintendo console, but all the games were like built into it. It's that kind of thing. Somebody had manufactured a Super Nintendo with games already built into a chipset. So that
I don't think I've ever seen something like that. Okay.
They had a weird, obscure offshoot. It didn't even say Nintendo on it. It was just a pirated version of Nintendo's product.
Oh, okay.
Same with like the Sega alternative. Like there were some weird, like sort of, again, off-market things, but they got the games, they've taken them, they've transferred it onto chips, and you've got someone who's talented with electronics has done it, and they've made something and manufactured something, and they've got something that's probably it's a pirated product if Nintendo and Sega ever find out about it. But if they're selling it for £20 in India, which is still good money back in 1994 for what it is, you know, that's better. That's a lot cheaper than paying £100 for a legitimate Super Nintendo or however it was. So it's a shortcut. It's cheap. It's a cheaper product. It's a legitimate product. It does the same job. People who are on low incomes can actually afford £20. That's seen as an affordable price. And that person who's modded it, it's probably costing maybe £5 to manufacture the thing. He's making a 75% return on whatever he's created. It's worth doing for piracy's sake. And the person feels happy buying it because they think they've got to do it because the official Nintendo hardware, which isn't even being sold in India, they'd have to import it. And probably the Indian government is that they regulate imports. There's high tax on imports. So consumer electronics bought from the West, there's 10%. They cost 10% more on average in India. A TV is cheaper for me to buy in the UK than it is in India at this point in time. If you're buying a foreign brand like Sony or Panasonic, if it's a brand created in India, there is no tax. That's just how it works. So I'm just comparing. Like, if you're India is a developing nation, it's part of the G20, so it's an emerging economy. It's doing well in terms of how it's growing as an economy. It has a large population that's coming with that growth. It has to lift it there. But because you've got all this money, you've got a lot of money you've got to divide amongst this huge population. Its GDP is going to be lower, obviously. The standard of living is going to be lower. People are going to struggle to buy games. That's where you're going to get piracy. That's the problem. You're going to get more in that country. And these Indians are very clever at that. I mean, they have a lot of graduates here that have got a lot of IT champion, a lot of people, a lot of hackers. You can see these YouTube channels, all these fraudsters in India trying to hack into people's computers and get money. A lot of them because they're using their talent for the wrong ways of getting a quick buck.
You were about to say something, Tricks. Go ahead.
No. It's like what Gabe Newell said regarding piracy. It's usually a service problem when it comes to things.
Yes, agreed.
Like if you can't afford, that people will find alternatives to.
Agreed. Very true. And like even accessibility. I'm not even quite sure if Nintendo has an official presence in the Philippines. Does it? It probably doesn't.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think so either.
No, I
So
don't
if
think so.
people, and of course, the Philippines being a huge Nintendo country, they'll find a way to try to play those games that they grew up loving. So it's.
I don't think
it's
Tito Joel Nintendo can fight the piracy in the Philippines. So
They
piracy is
cannot.
No. Well,
Yeah.
we've
They
heard
have
from everybody.
leverage.
We've heard from everybody here except for Joe. I'd like to hear Joe's experiences from back in the 90s and the 2Ks. His of how he acquired his illegitimate software, his movies, his music, everything. Did he use did he use Winamp to listen to his music and everything? Yeah, things like that, visualizations and all that. Tell us about your experiences, Joe.
Yes. Walk us through.
If I have a penny for every illegitimate that I had,
Mhm.
I'll be able to buy one Nintendo game. All right.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of illegitimate. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to my wife right there.
Ah, there you go.
It's good to understand and remember to all of those people who are listening right now.
Mhm.
Back in the 90s, we were kids who don't have money. Of course, we are the ones who plays these games. Sure, it's our parents who buy them for us. So of course, we're not going to be afford. We can't. It's expensive because we don't have the cash. If we have the cash, we won't be even resorting to piracy in to begin with. In my case, the earliest recollection that I have would be maybe when I was 6 or 7. I'm not even sure if this was considered illegitimate. So there was this shop in the Uniwide Carriedo. Okay, so we bought our first family computer there, and I was young. I'm not even. For all I know, it was the real thing. I'm just happy we have one. Okay, I was just happy that that my parents that my folks got one for us. Okay, so we bought a couple of games from Uniwide Carriedo. Well, the whole mall is gone now, and then fast forward to 1998 when we got our first PlayStation 1 in Evergrotesco Grand Central. This was before now it's before the fire. Now it's SM Grand Central now, but before it's Evergrotesco Grand Central. So this was 1998. The PlayStation came out like what, 95? So 3 years after its release, we got our first PlayStation. There was this shop there in Grand Central. It's one of those shops that's just outside of the mall, not inside the mall. And I remember they were selling modified units and unmodified units. And for some reason, the modified units cost more. And I'm like, what's the difference between the two? And modified, in this case, server. In the Philippines, we call modified our chipped PlayStations.
Yeah, we say chips as well in the UK.
We don't. In Europe and here in Australia, we call it chipped consoles. But in the Philippines, we say modified. So they were selling modified units for a higher cost, and it was my dad who talked with the with a salesperson So we got the modified version for all I care, right? So we got with the so it was they were selling it as a bundle, so 10 games. So if the PlayStation 1, the whole box plus 10 games, and for all I know, they were all original, right? So we got 10 games, and we played the hell out of those games. This is the Philippines, so Japanese games, mind you,
Oh yeah.
all Japanese games, and I thought they were all real, right? They were all authentic.
Mhm.
Because at the time, the PlayStation 1 games would cost you like between 250 to 500 pesos. The uh, in retrospect, we called them Class A copies.
Mhm. Yes.
Like you don't even like when you look at the when you look at the crystal case and you look at the CD inside, you will think that they're real. And the
Class
only
S,
reason,
Sir Joe.
right? And the
Class
only
S.
reason why it's not real is because you don't have the manuals in it,
Oh, that's Class
Yes,
A.
yes, that's right.
That's Class A.
right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. So for all I know, they cost more because I knew I thought they were authentic, right? Okay, sure. And 98, and then so I was already on my third year, fourth year high school. That was the time when the anime hit big in the Philippines, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I got hooked a lot in anime. So I couldn't hold enough of it. So when the 2000s hit, uh, uh, you guys will know this. For all of our anime needs back then,
Mhm.
because we couldn't download it, we don't have cable for it.
Mhm.
What we got? Fill bars, right?
Field
Field
bars.
bars.
So
Yes.
Fill bars
Mhm.
were selling all of this anime, these anime
Oh,
CDs.
and
Mm.
the video format then was VCDs. They were not DVDs back
VCD,
then.
right?
They were
So
VCDs.
VCD.
Yes. Mhm.
I
so
still
video
go to
compact, so
Quiapo.
it's VCDs,
Mhm.
right? So Fill bars were selling all of these VCDs. What's the other shop?
Uh,
Aside from
um.
Fill bars,
Oh shoot, I
Was
forgot.
it
there's two of them.
Comic Quest.
Comic
Kamikali?
Quest, yeah, Comic Quest, yeah. So you
Yeah.
got Fill bars and Comic Quest. They're all selling selling these animes from
Mhm.
the 90s, and so on their anime side, Phil bars. I was going Phil bars. I was going to Robinson's Manila and SM City North EDSA.
Mhm.
Those were the ones. Those were the ones to go. Oh, there's a Phil bars, I think, in Evergotesco Recto.
Mhm.
Sir Jomar.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you
That's
remember
where
that
I
one.
get my comics. Yeah.
There you go. Mhm.
So um So my high school was situated. So I'm from Arellano High School. So my high school is situated between Recto and Divisoria, right? So I have the Recto, Divisoria, Quiapo, Raon. Our high school is smack down in the middle. So I had access to all of them, right? So for the animes, I go to the closest one will be Evergotesco, Field Bars, and they were selling all of this shit, right? And I remember all of these CDs. It's just on a white CD,
Mhm.
and it's just the name of the anime right there. And I didn't know they were fake. I
I
thought they
had that
were
white
real,
VCD.
right?
Mhm.
Because they have all of these anime posters, Dragon Ball,
Mhm.
Card Captor Sakura, and all that. And this was the time. So my first when Card Captor Sakura came out, I love that shit.
Mhm.
Anything clamp animes back then, I love that. So Card Captor Sakura came out, and when I heard that there was a movie, I went to Field Bars and I saw the movie right there. So my very first anime VCD was Card Captor Sakura that I got for Field Bars, and I got it for 250 pesos. So so disc A and disc B. Okay, that's how we did it before. We tend to cut it out because
Mhm.
the original CD can only run like 60 minutes. So that's my first CD, anime CD. but it's like 250. And then I heard people saying, "Oh, uh, uh, if you go somewhere in Quiapo, you can find all of these CDs, okay, for only a fraction of the price that they're offering in field bars." So I discovered where. God damn it! So I was there in Quiapo, Hidalgo Street. There's this building. There's this building that somebody took me up there. I don't know. I can't remember what the conversation was, but a kind kindred person took me there. It was a third floor. I was very nervous. I don't know where he was taking me. So for all I know, he could have he could have taken me to a basement somewhere with other animes in there. So there it was on that third floor. That whole big chunk of that wing. There were like a lot of anime VCDs that they were selling, like series, OAVs, movies, all that shit.
It's like Joe had died and gone to heaven at that moment.
Yeah. and they were like selling it like what, like for 50 pesos at the time. So yeah, and so I got most of my animes from there, and of course it's Quiapo. So I also got my my movies there, my VCDs, my DVDs there. I got most of my porn there. I did everything. So
And the scandals. Don't forget
Quiapo
scandals.
has everything, guys. So you got your anime, you got your porn, you got your music, okay. You
Like
got your
Jomar says,
movies.
the scandal
The scandals.
movies. The scandal movies.
Scandals.
Yeah,
They
the
were right
scandal
there,
movies.
right?
They will say Quezon City scandal. You have it there already.
You
Yes,
have it there already. The next day.
there's the
next day.
Calapan
And
scandal, things like that, you know.
Ito,
Oh,
Sir Joe,
um,
this is the one that they're talking about. The white
Oh yeah,
CDs.
that's the
like
one.
yeah, the white
That's the
label
one.
CDs.
The
Yes.
black,
Yeah.
the
I
blank
have
white
that.
CDs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. So, before the PlayStation One, so before we got the PlayStation One, all of us in the Philippines, we were renting your Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the Mega Drive. Yeah. So, uh, in the name of piracy or in the name of illegitimate copies, we have this something called the UFO.
The
Oh,
UFO.
That's
Okay.
shit.
There you go.
that UFO, you use it to your NES, your Super NES, and there's a
Mhm.
diskette right there.
There you
Okay,
go. Yes.
so I got a diskette right here, and I think it's Donkey Kong for the Super Nintendo.
So Joe, can you put this in?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Baka sumabog yan.
Oh
That's
my
a relic.
God.
So basically, what they did, so they put this on your Super Nintendo, then put your original cartridge right there, and then put a diskette right here, a floppy diskette right there, and then it will allow you to copy the ROM from the Super Nintendo cartridge into your diskette, assuming, of course, the ROM is big enough. I mean,
Which
it's not too big for the disc.
The
which
disc.
actually
Yeah.
answers Antonio Paco's question from earlier, who asked, any idea, guys, how were the first ROMs got dumped into PC's hard disk and got spread around the world? Which, Joe demonstrates how it was likely done way back in the 90s and 2Ks.
I mean,
So
yes,
this was a commodity back then. Yeah. And,
So, Joe,
and this one's still working.
okay, so Joe, there's a floppy disk now that you can put a SD card, so you can dump everything that you want.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's true.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Brad has a question. Brad has
it's
something.
more of an answer to the question that was posed earlier by one of the members, which is, how is it done? And for every format, it's different. Every format is different. So with the Super Nintendo, that's one way they did it, and with the Mega Drive, there was a device that was the same, and it did the same thing. And similar with Master System and Nintendo Entertainment System. So that's the same thing. They had a device that allowed you to just copy that floppy, So you got to copy it on the floppy, which you shouldn't, but you did. Obviously, with PlayStation, we just copied the CD and we decrypted it, and that's it. So, that's all we did to do. I mean, every format, like CD is the easiest one to pirate, to be honest. That was the detriment to that format, even though it stored more. And that's why obviously they knew they had to program on CDs. CDs was the main medium, and we still use CDs for mainstream gaming today. Cartridges, again, they can be ripped. Like Switch cartridges can be easily ripped with linking. I mentioned how like these pirates will develop a linker, and then they just put it. You can get these on AliExpress, cheapest for Chinesium. All these accessories you can get on AliExpress, and you can just do it. So there are ways. You can do it. And if history has proven anything, is anything can get hacked, anything can get pirated, and anyone can get killed. But that's not.
Well, yeah, that's true. Ray Q, one of our audience members, says, "Whoa, ngayon ko lang nakita yan," which translates to it's the first time that he's ever seen that. So we are fulfilling our mandate of not just entertaining the audience but also educating them how things were back then. This is how they were. All right, Joe, go ahead.
So when PS1 era, right? So 98, 99. I was already in high school. My high school is situated right there, smack in the middle. We got Raon, we got Quiapo, we got Divisoria, and you got Rector, right? So after school, me and my classmates anyway. So we would scour all across, especially if it's a Friday, right? So we will go to Divisoria first. There's this place in Tutuban Center that we tend to frequent. I think Sir Joe Marie mentioned that one, the shop. There was this shop in Tutuban Center that we always go first. I got some pretty cool stuff there. I think I got my Dragon Quest 7 from there, if I remember correctly. And then, if not to the Van Center, then we will go to the next one will be at Recto. So there's this place right besides National Bookstore, who also sells PS1 games, bootleg PS1 games. You know that
Mugs
one,
and
Sir Jomar?
Chef. Mugs and Chef.
Right. So
Wait, where did you go to high school?
Arellano.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Oh,
UE.
Yeah. So I got my PS1 games from there, and then we will go to Tayuman Center. So there's this there's this shop on the third floor, right next to the arcade, right before you go to the LRT station platform, at the train platform. So there's this shop there. At the time they were selling PS1 games and Dreamcast games, and I'm a PlayStation guy, so I could care less about the Dreamcast. I remember I got my copy of Valkyrie Profile from that shop at the Human Center. Again, guys, I didn't know they were fake. Okay, I didn't know that they were real. So I got my if I remember correctly, I got my Valkyrie Profile from there, and I also got my WWF Attitude and Warzone from there.
Warzone.
Nice.
All right. And then there's this. Why not go further? So, my best friend said, "Oh, there's also a shop in Bloomington." So we went there in Bloomington. So there's this movie house right before the Bloomington Market. There's this shop right there. They also sell PS1 games. So okay, I think I got Tales of Destiny 2 from that shop. Yeah, I remember that quite fondly. And then the PS2 hit, like what is what 2000, yeah, the PS2 hit. So of course we can't afford the PS2, so we had to rent that out every time we want to play it. It wasn't until 2007 when I got my first paycheck for my first job. I was able to buy my first PS2 in Raon. I'm already in Raon, right? So the first place I went to get some games, I went straight to Quiapo Hidalgo Street. We got your PS2 games right there. You got your PS2 and Xbox 360 right there. I remember, but I don't have the 360. I only got the PS2, so it's all right there. And I remember getting Xenosaga, Tales of the Abyss, Tales of Legendia, all of the Final Fantasy X, all of the JRPG shit, right?
Yeah.
I'm a JRPG guy since the
Promotion
PS1.
games, yeah.
So
Okay.
I got most of the stuff there in Capo. So
Mm.
all of them's right there. And then when we got our first when we got our first PC in 2009, I saw one of these shops that they were selling like a CD burner, like a very generic CD burner. And I'm like, okay, if I have this, then I'll be able to burn my own. I'll be able to burn my own shit. So I got it, and then I had to go to a few forums, uh, look at a few tutorials. I came across alcohol. I came across image burn, all of those burning softwares, right?
Nero.
Nero,
Nero,
yes. Oh, yeah.
Nero, yeah. Those were the top three. Those were the top three. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
Oh, so around that time, Winamp was a thing. So
Oh, yeah.
we were downloading that
my
shit.
goodness.
The first audio CD that I bought was NSYNC Celebrity.
Oh,
And this was around.
Oh,
I was
shit.
in my fourth year high school. And I was a and I was a Backstreet guy. I felt so dirty. my first audio disc was an NSYNC disc. Not even their first or second album. It's their like third or fourth album. I felt so dirty, but I like their songs though.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And listen, nobody's perfect. Perfect. It's okay.
Yeah, the Viraj says nobody's perfect. It happens. What can I say?
It's okay.
For the PS1, I got the only bootlegs that I have left so far is this one, Blaze Blaze
Blazing Blade.
Blue?
Yes. Mm. Blazing Blade, if I remember
Comes in a
correctly.
case.
Blaze and Blade, Eternal
Mhm.
Quest,
Mhm.
Mine just came in a
and
That's an obscure
Only-
one. Shit.
Yeah. Mhm.
and of course Kudelka. Only reason
Kudelka.
because
Mm.
Kudelka
God,
is super
Kudelka.
crazy expensive, the authentic one. So I got the
Mm.
bootleg.
Yes.
Still working.
And now we live in
So
an
yeah,
age where
Sorry, Viraj was saying. Viraj was saying
we live
something.
in an age where you can just get a PlayStation Classic Mini, hack it, and mod it, and shove all the games that way.
That's very true. That is very true.
No issues.
This was before the PS1 Mini.
Emulation is on point. Works on my lovely 65-inch OLED. You know. I mean,
Ricky
you've got
has a question for you, Joe. How much was the PS1 and PS2 games back then
Oh.
when Quiz Joe GRPG when you
The
bought them?
first for the bootlegs, Sir Jomar might fact check me on this. So the expensive bootleg that you'll get, and this is not the Class A ones.
Mhm.
It was around 75 pesos. That's the expensive one. And then
Okay.
as the years went by, circa 2000, 2001, it
Mhm.
all went down to 50 and then 25 and then 20.
Mhm.
But that being said, the quality of the copies, because before they tend to print out the pictures, right?
Mhm.
As the years went on, it's just a blank white disc,
Exactly.
and they
Yes.
just write, and then they just write very lazy.
Yes.
Final Fantasy. That's
The most expensive that I've
So
seen,
what?
the most expensive that I've seen is for a Class S with a manual, a fake manual would
Really?
be yes, with a fake manual would be 150, 100 to 150.
Silent
Mm.
Hill.
But
Golly.
that is look like legit. The only thing that will separate it from the original when you put it on a legitimate PlayStation is not gonna work.
Mm.
Oh, and regarding with the PS2s, it went as high as 100 pesos at first, and then eventually it went down to 75 and then 50. However, the first initial releases of the bootleg PS2 games, you still got the DVD cases, the thick ones, but with the colored discs, but without the manual. So that's how you can tell. And then eventually they moved to like those really slimmer DVD cases.
Yes,
Mhm.
the slim case,
And then
the dual
eventually
slim
it went
case.
plastic, just plastic. That's it. That's how they sell the DVDs. It went as low as 50, I believe, per disc. PS2 and Xbox 360. And then when I got when I got my first CD burner, the first ones that I burned on a CD, you guys know MIRC. So I download all of my
Yes,
anime from MIRC,
MIRC.
right?
Yes.
So if I don't get it from
ASL.
MIRC, I would get it from Kazaa. Kazaa and
Okay.
then LimeWire. So I would download all of the episodes that I can find. Then I'm gonna burn it on the CD. I also downloaded the first 5 seasons of South Park. Yeah, and I burned it on my own CDs.
So Joe was really
Right.
into the video side of it. I was more into the music side of it. I would download MP3s like crazy left and right. All the
Although
music that I
I
wanted to
did,
listen to.
I was able to make my own audio compilations because with the audio CDs, like as for the maximum, like the average, you can only like put like what 15 songs on one
Yes.
CD
Yeah.
Mhm.
one CD to make an audio CD,
Yes.
I,
right?
I actually downloaded concerts on my
Concerts.
Stream.
There you
Yeah,
go.
so
Okay.
like
Yeah. Oh,
like very
this,
specific ones. Like I downloaded the Lucky Star concerts, the Love Hina concerts, just like, and they were at shit quality too in LimeWire. Like, thankfully I didn't
Huh?
get Worms or Trojan. So
Am I- Look at that.
right there,
god damn.
Oh my
right there.
goodness.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah. Speaking of worms, yeah. My our personal computer then was like most likely
First.
got infected with HIV. I don't know, with all of the with all the viruses.
Right.
Uh,
You put LimeWire
yeah,
on there. You use LimeWire. That's what you did.
Yes.
LimeWire,
Exactly.
MIRC. Yeah, it got all of the viruses that you can think of. So every now and then,
The booty is
oh yeah, I downloaded a lot of porn. Okay,
Oh my goodness.
the good ones that you can find. The good ones that you can find that you cannot buy from anywhere else that you can even find in
Mhm.
Cap. Well, I would find that shit.
And put it
Okay.
on your phone.
Wait.
Oh yeah.
Okay, the good ones
Oh,
that we can find. Do you have the other Mario, the universe Mario?
the-
I don't think I've heard of that one.
oh,
Okay.
No, not that one,
we are going.
Garage. The other
We are going.
Mario.
For,
No, the
we are
one with
going.
the initials
We are
RJ
going for
that everybody
porn.
knows about. All right, that's the
Okay.
All right.
So
RJ. He's famous.
so I got.
Oh,
So I
you're
got.
talking about that Mario. Okay, I get it.
Well, you got it. The penny drop.
Okay,
He dropped.
I get it now. Okay, I get it.
I've seen this
So
image.
I got. So I got the Dragon Ball.
I've seen the
I got the
video.
Dragon Ball Sailor Moon crossover. Hint, hint.
Is it the one
I
with
got
Star Wars?
I got the Evangelion Human Instrumentality Project.
Oh,
Lots of censorship right there. Just bullshit. And I think all 13 episodes of La Blue Girl.
Oh damn. Okay.
you need to go to church, man. You need to go to church and speak to a priest. All right.
Oh, absolutely. It's confession time, Joe.
Oh, and in terms of music, this was before MP3. We called them WAV files back then.
Wave, yeah.
WAV.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the
So,
raw. That's the best sound, though. Wave was the raw
Yes.
sound.
Yeah. It's lossless.
Around 2009 2010 I was able to buy my own DVD burner. Then I was able to burn my own PS2 disc. So I had to learn how to do it. What's the difference between a DVD minus R, a DVD plus R? What would be the best ones to use for a modified or a chipped
There's also
PS2?
DVD RAM. There's also a disc called
Right.
DVD RAM.
You have to you have to book it as a DVD RAM.
Mm.
I didn't know that until later actually. So what happened? I bought like I bought a very specific light on
Mm.
DVD
Right.
burner that
Yeah.
can
Wow.
burn in a DVD RAM book type. So I had to search. So and yeah, like 90% of the time I was able to burn well, I can burn them successfully, but the question is, will the PlayStation 2 read it?
Read.
So 90% of the time it will read under DVD RAM book type.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There was a DVD for
um,
as well. well. Yeah,
a lot of piracy here.
Yeah.
I partook in everything.
RC can be tiresome because there's a lot of knowledge that you have to also take on to be able to pirate games if you are a pirate. You mentioned how there's DVD Plus R, DVD R, there's different formats. Some formats will work on certain players and some will not, and it's knowing that knowledge as well. I mean, there's all sorts of creative ways to pirate. I mean, look, here you see me holding an amiibo, right? And this uses an NFC reader in there, and that's got a special code. You put it on your Nintendo device or whatever device it is, 3DS or Switch or Wii U, and what you do is you unlock a certain feature in a game. Now you can get an NFC reader, and you can hack the code from this, okay, and put it into the NFC reader, so you don't need to buy these. These have become very collectible now, just for the figure, because you don't really, if you know what you're doing, you don't even need this to unlock the special feature in the game. And I've got a friend who's got a son, and he's got a whole list of these little NFC reader, little bar slips that he has. And he just uses them now. He doesn't even bother with these. These cost a fortune. If Nintendo found out, they'd come after you if you do this sort of thing. So there's even little things like this. There's piracy for this now. They'll find a way to unclock this. But I just want to sort of change the subject swiftly, very quickly, shortly. I think the only major manufacturer, as we know, that goes after. There we go. Oh my God, this is what I'm talking about. See, he's done it.
I'm sorry. It's so dusty.
I'm
sorry.
You've done it. This is it. So it's so clever what people do these days, and there's only one major player that really goes after pirates, and that's Nintendo. And I can sort of understand. Obviously, the news recently was they went after Yuzu, which is the Switch emulator, and that's gone now. Well, they've sort of bought it from them or whatever, so that no one can use it, or they paid them some money or something. And that's because Nintendo make their most money from Switch, which is understandable why Nintendo wanted to get rid of this emulator, because they wanted people to buy Nintendo Switches and their software, because that's their bread and butter. And if you really look at it, even though Nintendo Switch has outperformed as a console compared to PlayStation and the Xbox, it's still a much smaller company than Microsoft and Sony, which have their fingers in many other pies. That's the truth. So it hurts them more if there's piracy on their singular platform, which is the Switch. They don't have a dedicated handheld unit anymore, which also made me wonder why they went after Citra as well, which it's not like 3DS is something they support anymore. But I guess they wanted to go after that, and they wanted the resale market to flourish, and that's what's going to happen now.
Well, the only reason that I can imagine that they want to go after Citrus, they're probably coming out with some kind of 3DS reissue or something, maybe sometime in the near future. Could
I
be.
have a feeling because they mentioned, and I think we all know, gentlemen, that the next console Nintendo will come out was going to come out this year, but now it's next year. It's been postponed. That's because they don't really need to do it in such a hurry, because the Switch is still making them loads of money. But there is pressure to make a new system, because 7 years is a long time to have a console out on the market. So they're thinking, okay, the hardware is kind of outdated anyway. So I suspect the next system they'll make as a handheld will offer a dual screen experience. I predict that, because Nintendo like to reissue and resell their old stuff. More money for old, that's Nintendo.
I completely agree.
A remaster game such as Kid Icarus Uprising, I can see them doing that on their new system in Super HD or 4K or whatever screen experience. So I still think it'll ultimately still be a similar system with an OLED or a 4K handheld device, but the screen experience will be the screen, but you also have a TV, and that's how you get the dual screen.
Yeah, heck, it might even be capable of running, the lower end Wii U games. You never know, right?
I think it could easily.
I would like to address a few questions here. Like you said, how about classic Tarzan X? Funny you should mention that, Rick. The Tarzan X, for some reason, we got it on Betamax. It was hidden beneath our drawer, and I didn't even know we had that one. It was just there. I don't know. It wasn't me. In all honesty, I only know about Tarzan X because of that Betamax copy. I don't know. Perhaps one of my uncles hid it there. And in regarding with Light On and BenQ, at the time when I was choosing burners, I went on for the Light On because it's cheaper.
It's cheaper. Thank you, it's expensive.
All right. Well, we've covered so much ground in terms of how much we enjoyed
piracy.
Piracy way back in the 90s and 2000s. I was trying to find an alternative word for it, but let's just call it what it is. It was piracy
Bootleg
way back in the
games.
90s
Bootleg
and
It's
games.
only in the
yeah,
90s.
yes.
Take
Well,
note.
well, that was
Not
that was way
anymore.
back when. Yes, we do not condone or advocate for piracy nowadays. We
Mm.
are just relating our personal experience from way back when. So
Wink,
those were
wink.
the times. Those were the times we had a lot of fun way back when. And I hope
Mm.
everybody in the chats and who is listening to our podcast right now had a lot of fun as well back then. And even if you weren't alive or around during that time, I hope you guys had a little bit of a learning experience of how we carried out our nefarious activities from
I
back in the day. So I am just going to be
Highly
finishing up
questionable,
here.
Lucky.
Yes, and I am just going to be passing it off back to Joe to round it all up. All right, Joe.
There I go.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir Joel. And yeah, that's the. It's been 2 hours, guys, and 2 hours and 20 minutes. So we might as well wrap the show. And right before we do our shameless plug, We'll just do a quick closing remarks from all of the panels right here we have right now. Let's start with Sir Jomar. Closing remarks in regarding with the topic, Sir Jomar. And where can they find you?
Oh, it's also a shameless plug. Well, about the topic. Well, right now, don't buy pirated stuff. It's everything is, I think, you can afford everything now. And you can find me at Joe Marot, all platforms. But you have to catch me. I don't stream anymore that often, so you have to catch me once in a while. I'll be having I'll be opening a box from Pokemon. I think maybe later if Jeremiah from Shopul Emporium will be available. That's for me.
All right, thank you for that, Sir Jomar. And how about Sir JDM? Closing remarks and where can they find you?
Yes, we're actually not condoning piracy. And by the way, as you can see in my background, just a little history. This is quite related to what we're talking about earlier regarding the DVDs and the Blu-rays. This is actually a free speech flag. This was a modified one. These are the colors of the hexadecimal code that you need to input to copy HD DVDs and Blu-ray. This is the PS3 version. I don't know the colors of the original one, but this represents the hexadecimal code needed to copy HD DVD and Blu-ray. So piracy. It's a free speech. Everyone would like to have a copy of a game or a movie. Just input this code. It was actually there was a controversy regarding this, but I won't elaborate it. But this is the free speech flag.
Mhm.
And as for me, 123 Go Retro currently on hiatus. Hopefully, I could squeeze in some time to play my games. And I've been working on the Timeless Gamer website, which you can actually go right now by typing in timelessgamers.com. You can see me. You can actually watch the stream there. I've embedded the YouTube video in there, so we would really appreciate if you could visit the site, and you can see our upcoming events and the show affiliates. Please do check it out.
All right, thank you for that, Sir JDM. General Tuna already went on ahead, but Sir Trix is still here. And thank you for Sir Trix,
oh my
coming from our dear friends in G3. Closing remarks, Sir Trix, and where can they find you?
Regarding piracy, I don't blame you if you're still doing it now, considering like yeah, sure, there are still affordable games. There are some games that are a bit too pricey though, so I don't blame you if you still resort to such a thing. But if you have the money to spare, or if you wait for a sale, please buy the games that you actually support, so you can get more games like that. Um, you can find us and my friend General Luna, whatever. I can't know. I can't figure out which one to call him. You can find out at G3 Podcast. We do podcasts like this every Friday at 8 a.m. and sometimes we do streams, me mostly, uh, during Saturdays at 8:30. That's it for me.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir Tricks. And how about Sir Viraj? Closing remarks and where can they find you?
No, just to as a retort to what Sir Trick said, if the game is too expensive, you should still save up and buy it because it makes people like me money. So just do it. Okay? Don't listen to that
So
nonsense.
that's in regards to digital, though.
Well, yeah, I think, in regards to digital, okay. With tangible games, what I will say with them is think of it as an investment because they'll become more and more scarce and it will only go up in price. That is unless you're buying Koala Brothers Outback Adventures. Now, in regards to what I will say is in regards to this last bit I will say is my nephew said this to me, and he says, if you've got money and you can buy a loaf of bread, you should buy it. But if you don't, you need to eat. Man's got to eat. You got to steal it, right? That's all I will say. Okay? But that's my final thoughts on that. What was it? Well, where can you find me? Find me in hell. That's where you can find me. You'll find me on the Sega Genesis group on Facebook. You can find me on a YouTube channel I do with some of the boys called the Sega Mega Masters, where we review, and we've taken a break from it because one of our members aren't well. So, but have a look at our channel. We got some good reviews on Sega Mega Drive stuff and Sega stuff because I know Sega wasn't big at all in the Philippines. It's worth checking out if you're interested in our thoughts on some of the games of the system. So you got that. And I'm also a member here on this panel, so you might find me around here as well. Also, have my own company called Bygone Games UK. You can find me on Twitter. And I resell retro video games at the London Gaming Market, which is in 19 hours from now. So I've got to get my boxes ready and prepared. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll be there tomorrow. That's where you can find me. You can find me there. And it's big. I think the early access tickets are already sold out. So 700 people are going to run through in the first hour and harass me. And even the 12 o'clock entry access is going to be sold out. So from 1 o'clock you can come, and it's £3 to get in. It's a good day out on the social. I'm not the only seller there. There's loads of others there. Obviously they didn't put me up there because you can see the full lineup and you'll find Bygone Games there and my little logo. But it's always good to go to these retro gaming events. And I understand that video games are quite expensive now. By all means, live within your means. Just live within your means, and that's what I'd suggest. But it's lovely to feel nostalgia for a game that you sort of missed out on, and you can always repurchase it. That's the good thing of it now that you've got the money. But yeah, that's where you can find me for the time being. I know somebody wrote in the section, does Viraj not have a YouTube channel? Can I, does he not have this? No, because I work for a living. Please.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir Viraj. And the one who manned the helm for the ship, Sir Joel, closing remarks and where can they find you?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hanging around this long. Thank you very much for downloading our podcast. Thank you very much for watching our live or maybe the delayed broadcast if you want to watch it after the live broadcast. Final remarks. Piracy back in the 90s and 2000s, we really couldn't avoid it. We were young, we were stupid, we didn't have any money, and we needed our entertainment. And of course, we were easily swayed by the word from our buddies that, hey, this game is amazing, or that movie's a must watch. You got to listen to this song. And you found ways to actually to consume them. And we like reminiscing about all our experiences and all the places we used to go and all the things that we used to do to acquire all our illegitimate software, movies, or music. But nowadays, like has been mentioned, you are all grown up. you should be responsibly consuming. And it's not just the fact that you should be paying for the stuff that you consume, it's also the fact that you should also be utilizing your time a little bit more wisely. So that is my final bit of advice. Those are my final words on the matter. You can find me in the Banyagang Native kick.com channel, or in the Banyagang Native Twitch channel, occasionally streaming retro or modern games. Nowadays, I'm working through Kingdom Come Deliverance and Hard Space Shipbreakers. But I also will be streaming a few old NES Famicom games through the 3D Sen software. So you can see all the amazing old NES Famicom games in 3D glory. So that's going to be sometime very soon. And, hashtag FUFB. There you go. Back to you,
Well
Joe.
said. Well said, Tito Joel.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir Joel. And in regarding with the topic for this evening, software piracy falls under the same principles of economics, supply and demand, of course, and people only go for it unless they have don't access to it, to this software, or they just can't afford it, or it's a combination of both. So although we don't condone it, we understand the circumstances behind it. So like everybody here in this panel mentioned, we're grown-ups now. We have the earning potential. Please support our gaming developers. All right, and that's how the gaming industry thrive. Okay, but if you're like Sir Joel and myself, we tend to wait it out until those games go on sale. No paying full price, except except for those games that we really really like. Okay, uh, just a few shameless plugs as well. Speaking of our gaming market, so we got the uh, uh, ROI Presents in association with Game Boy Philippines. We got Back to the Culture, where we have the collection of all reputable resellers, traders of video games all across Metro Manila in one location. We will be at the collective base at Promenade Mall, Basement 2 in Green Hills. That will be on April 6, April 7, 2024. That's Saturday and a Sunday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So from Atari to the PlayStation, uh, who knows what you might find. Admission is free. Just be sure to check out our the ROI Facebook page on the details and the possible things that you might find in there. So
Whoa.
that's Back to the Culture, a mini video game market convention of sorts. The collective base, Promenade Mall, Basement 2. Basement 2, guys. It's Basement 2. You really need to go down there. Okay? At Green Hills, San Juan, NCR, Philippines, April 6, April 7, 2024, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, Sunday, those weekends. And of
Wow,
course,
word.
our podcast, of course, Timeless Gamer Show, is powered by Streamyard. Start your own online live streams, webinars, online events, podcast with Streamyard by using our link that we will provide right there in the description and at the chat right there. You can start with Streamyard with a 14-day free trial by using our link. Just try it out for yourself, and hopefully you'll be able to start your own program using Streamyard. Very easy to use, very user friendly. We've already made almost 90 episodes of the Timeless Gamers show using Streamyard, and we couldn't be happier. Streamyard has been very, very good to us.
Thank you, StreamYard.
And of course, we are also an affiliate with BitMap Books. So enjoy the history of your favorite video game franchises in colored pages and anecdotes by getting a publication coming from BitMap Books by using this link that we will provide on the description and on the chat right now. That's BitMap Books. We have They have all sorts of books right there, ranging from JRPGs, computer RPGs, beat 'em ups, NES compendiums, Super Nintendo compendiums, the Mega Drive compendiums, the computer click and point compendiums, even the King of Fighters, Metal Slug, Game Boy, all handhelds, all that stuff, and a lot more. So just click on the link that we are putting down there at the chat and at the description box, and search for the right bitmap book for you. And of course, our timeless appreciation to studio.ph, to Sir Raymond, for our timeless thumbnails. Yay!
Woohoo! Woohoo!
And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you all so much to all of the chat members that we have right there. Sir Reiki, Sir Anton, Sir Sir Marlon, um,
And everybody who's
Everyone.
here. Thank you very much.
everyone. You've been wonderful, sharing your experiences in regarding with the topic. And on behalf of
Oh, and let's
on
not
be-
forget Joseph Carles Mero. Thank you
Oh,
very much for being a
hi
first
for
time
Joseph. Yes.
chatter. Very happy that you're here. Okay.
And on behalf of General Tuna and Sir and Trix from G3, and on behalf of Sir Dan, Sir Ray, Miss I, who couldn't be here, that's the show, guys. And as always, our games and our bodies may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain. Hey,
Timeless. See you guys
bye-bye,
soon.
guys.
Bye.
Go to the gangplank, go to the edge.
Go to bed. Right there.
Yarrr!
Yarrr.
Arg!
you